All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. NorCal Sports Network teaming up with Even Year Dynasty. Cody and Ricky in the house tonight. Lou, we got more people joining. It's going to be a special show as we bring it to you. Giants, what can they do? And we're going to bring all our ideas tonight to see if we can put our heads together. Even the baby, Cody's baby, was that Cody's baby in the background, or was that the siren? Did I hear something?
Oh, that was definitely the baby.
All right, great on. All right, we're
I was like, cool guys, I gotta go.
Cool. We're a pro-life channel here. All right. So anyway, the Giants, we're going to talk about a lot tonight. We're going to talk about trade ideas, free agent ideas, everybody's ideas. Get creative and see if we can. Hopefully, the Giants can watch this and maybe take some ideas because I don't know. We'll see. They say that two heads are better than one. How about four heads, or maybe 5 to 6 when we finish getting up? We're expecting Nick to join us, possibly Bora. So anyway, welcome in, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And guys, check out Even Year Dynasty Show. It's a good channel. They put out a lot of great Giants content. It is solely Giants. So it is dedicated, and they've got some great ideas, some great videos. Go check out Even Year Dynasty Show. The description or the link is in the description of this video. So go check that out. Also, we want to thank our sponsor before we get going, Chapman Law Group. Get that put up there. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin. Give them a call if you have any legal needs. 415-613-9483. They can help you out. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, guys, let's get this thing started. The first news of the day that came out, Andrew Baggerly said the Giants are going to be cutting payroll because they don't want to go into the tax for the second year in a row. And it's not as horrible as it sounds because they've got a lot of payroll, left. I mean, they've already cut by just attrition, guys that aren't coming back. And we'll see. I think they've got roughly 67 million or so under where they were last year right now.
Under the tax.
Or under
I
the
don't
tax.
know exactly where they were last year, but they were a bit over.
All right. So let's get into this. Let's talk about this payroll situation. And maybe that precludes them from doing some of the things we want them to do, like sign 2 or 3 great pitchers like I want. But, that would take probably 60 plus million, the 2 guys I'd like to see him get, Burns and Snell. But what do you guys think? What do you think about this article from Baggerly? And did you guys see the actual article? Because I could pull it up.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of this. I didn't read the whole thing, but I saw different screenshots. And I mean, my reaction to it was, I think there was a big overreaction from the fans in general. I think anybody reasonably expects the Giants to get back under the taxes here, unless by some act of God, Juan Soto decides he wants to take their money, in which case I don't think they'll care about the tax at that point, but that's not happening. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, people just hear the cut cost and it's like, well, this team's not trying to win. It's like, no, they can still spend like $65 million if they want, stay under the tax and do pretty significant work to the team.
What is the tax going to be this year? 48 or something?
241.
241. Okay.
Yeah. So so they could still improve the roster and take steps in the right direction and still spend. It's just they're going to get out of they're not going to do the repeater tax, and they're not going to keep putting themselves in a situation where they're potentially going to have to fork out multiple draft picks for every guy that they sign with a qualifying offer going into next year. So it's smart to get back under.
Yeah, I think it is. And we've got there we go. There's Nick. Nick is in the house. How you doing, Nick?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
What's up?
So we bring in Nick. Also, you can catch Nick on Twitter. I think it's is it Giants Dong 25?
Giants Dong 25. Or it's SF Giants Nick.
SF. Okay. All right. You got so we got Nick in the house. Nick has a lot of great ideas, and for the Giants, I think he's been on both of our shows quite a bit.
Yeah, I've dropped comments. I mean, me and Dan have always had a friendly back and forth where we don't always agree on everything, but it's always respectful and
right
in the good. And you can tell we both have experience in ball and kind of know a little bit about what we're talking about. So
absolutely. So what we're getting into this Giants looking at the maybe cutting payroll to stay under the tax. And as Cody was just saying, they still got $67 million that they can spend. And that doesn't even count. Does that, if they drop Yaz off the team, does that give them another $10 million roughly, or are you factoring?
Yeah. I mean, so that $67 million is factoring in all the arbitration eligible guys. It factors in guys like, Flores, Murphy, all those guys
so
that
Murphy and Flores, that's $7.5 million right there.
Yeah,
Yaz, $10 million. That's $17.5 million. Now you're looking at $85 million to spend if you just didn't bring those three guys back.
It's easily workable to create $5-6 million here, $10 million here. They're probably not going to. I saw someone mention trading Ray. He's probably not going to be movable unless they're going to take an equally bad or worse contract back, like they did with Haniger. And that's how they got Ray. So it's like, let's quit kicking that can down the road and stop picking up worse contracts. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of guys they can move to potentially create some extra wiggle room if they need to.
Right. Now, Ricky, what's your thoughts on this? You saw the article, you saw, the first reaction is, hey, they want to cut payroll, but what's your thoughts on all this? Oh, you're muted.
Is that good now?
There you go.
All right. I'm kind of with Cody on this. I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it as well. Part of the reason being is if you look at a lot of the guys that just got issued qualifying offers, that's a lot of your guys at the top of the market that are available. This isn't a huge free agent class. So for me, I think me and Cody have been saying this for a while now. You're probably not getting two of these guys that got issued qualifying offers anyways. So that's going to be kind of affecting how much money you spend anyways. And another thing Cody and I discussed as well is I don't see them needing to go above and beyond money-wise because there are trades out there that could be made for guys that are on expiring contracts. That would save you a ton of money while, pretty significantly upgrading your roster in the short term. So that's kind of where I'm at, and we can kind of discuss some of those names as we get further along here.
Yeah, and I see some people in the chat. Soto is not coming here. I think all five of us in this panel would agree with that.
Yeah.
I see very little chance, especially when Boris is out saying he wants to go with an owner that wants to win every year. Yeah. And, to me, he's sending signals that he's going to try and bring the Dodgers into this if they are willing to ante up the money, whether a lot of it's deferred. If the Dodgers can get into this, and he's going to use the Giants just to bump up the price. Hey, look at the Giants. They've offered $700 million for 14 years. And I think the only chance the Giants actually do have is if they offered something like $800 million. And even then, I could see Steve Cohen saying, screw that. I'm not losing. It's like, so I don't see the Soto thing. I think what the Giants need to do, what one of the ideas that I have is getting rid of some of those guys we just mentioned to lower the you got 67 million to spend, but you can really do like 85 million.
Yeah.
I would go out and sign guys like Burns and Snell because you get pitching. And then I would look to trade a Logan Webb. I know this is controversial and a lot of people may disagree, and that's okay. I think the Giants are years away right now. If you look at baseball trade values, I wanted to show you something that I was looking at today, guys. This is pretty remarkable. This lists all 30 teams by the minor leagues. Can you see that, the numbers there, the surplus value, the Rays? Can you guys, is that coming clear? I'm not looking at the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the Rays top of minor league baseball with surplus value. That means they've got the most valuable farm system of guys with high values. And then the Red Sox, Guardians, Twins. Look at the Rockies in the division. They're 7th. And then you move down, the Dodgers are at 212th. Diamondbacks 15th, 178. And then you get the Padres at 25th. We still haven't got to the Giants. The Giants are 27th in baseball. Only Astros, Braves, and Angels are valued less. And this is one company or one format, but they're also ranked 30th by Bleacher Report. They're ranked pretty low. And then if you look at their major field value, this is interesting. The major league field value, which is, what's the most value put on the field? The Giants are at 684. Only 5 teams are less than them. The Blue Jays, the Angels, the White Sox, the Cardinals, I believe. Look at the Dodgers, guys. A 1723 value. And then you look at the Padres. The Padres are 1245. So those are the top teams, like them, the Phillies, the Braves. The Giants need to improve all over the diamond. And my idea is you can't get hitters to come to this park through free agency. It's just really difficult. I don't think they're going to get Willy Adames, even though they go after him. I think if the Dodgers want Willy Adames and the money's close, that he's going to want to play for a perennial winner. And winning, then you get your World Series checks. You get, you make up money there. So I would go out, and I liked your idea, Cody. You mentioned that the Giants should look to trade for Bichette from Toronto. That's a great idea there. And then you can actually go out and get 2 young players. If you went and got pitching and loaded up on pitching and then went and got some young hitters for Webb, Webb's got 4 years remaining on his contract. My fear is that the Giants don't do anything worthwhile but lag around 4th place in this division for the next few years while Webb's here. And then he goes into free agency and you get nothing for him. I'm just a believer of you got to start somewhere, and you don't have much assets to sell, and you don't want to get rid of Eldridge. So their best assets on the team are, Webb is 18th in baseball. I looked at the list today. He's got the 18th highest surplus value of every player in baseball. So that means he's got value. And the Giants don't have much in value. Ramos is like their next best. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think of the idea of trading a Logan Webb and getting young, controllable hitters that could be here for 8-10 years?
I had mentioned that on a tweet around the trade deadline. Like, if the Giants wanted to do something creative, which is something that they did not do many creative things beforehand, that, yeah, it's, you're going to enrage the fan base, but so did Sabian when he traded Matt Williams.
Right.
But but at that time they were under financial constraint, and he couldn't. I heard Sabian, I believe in an interview with FP Santangelo, said, which a lot of people did not know this until a couple of years ago, he mentioned this. It was either he had to trade Bonds or Williams. And he actually originally wanted to trade Bonds.
Wow.
But he said the thing was that on the open market, when he was shopping around, he wasn't getting the value for Bonds that he wanted. He wanted way more for Bonds than what he was going to get for Matt Williams. But he felt the trade was fairer for Matt Williams, so he ended up trading Williams instead. But that shows you the kind of balls that he had.
Right.
That he was willing to trade Barry Bonds away. And so the fact that we sit all like, oh, we can't trade Logan Webb, like, why? Especially we're going to cut payroll now, too. And like you said, Dan, you start to get into like, well, where can we create a surplus here to trade from? And it's like we never have problems signing pitchers. Never. You can sign Johnny Cueto. We can sign Snell. All those guys. So sign pitchers and create your own surplus, and then Webb becomes expandable. That you can trade him away and get a hitter. So I see that as the only really creative way you can make something happen to get a hitter in here. But I understand the fan base.
I understand the fan base too. I love Logan Webb. He's a great guy. He's a clubhouse leader. But at some point, you've got to put a winning team together.
Sure.
And if they don't have the hitters, and they don't have them in the farm system either. They've got really that is a major league hitter, caliber hitter. It looks like Bryce Eldridge is the guy. Let me show you something when I look at the Giants surplus here, just so you know what the surplus. Oops, wow, Jung-Hoo Lee's got a negative surplus. I didn't realize that. Okay, here we go. So let me pop this up here, right here. And as you look at this surplus, you'll see that it's Logan Webb at 70, almost 77. And then Bailey is 35. Ryan Walker's increased his surplus value up to 27.9. Then you got Eldridge, and then Ramos, and Harrison, Fitzgerald, and then, Matos, Doval. I actually put out a little video today that if the Giants are to trade Doval, as there's talking about, there's rumors that there's people interested in Doval. I personally think Doval would be best. I like him in, he's young. He had a bad year. I think if you built a back-end bullpen of Walker, Doval, and Hicks, and, Miller or one of the Rogers brothers, maybe trade one of the Rogers brothers or something. But if you're going to trade Doval, then go get younger. I'd like to see a guy like Enrique Bradfield of the Baltimore Orioles, who I liked in the draft, but they took Eldridge, which I'm glad they did. But Enrique Bradfield is a guy that reminds me a little bit of like Kenny Lofton Jr., guy that can flat out fly, can play excellent defense. And he gets on base. He'd be a great top of the order guy, and he'd be great at Oracle Park. Just slap the ball around. That's kind of what, if they're going to make a trade for Doval, that's what I want to see him do, is get young guys that they can build up together. I mean, could you imagine from the same draft, Eldridge and Bradfield coming up together, playing in now you have power and some speed and defense with Bradfield. And so those are some of the things that I think they can do. And I think Maniason's going to be aggressive with the trades. I do. I think that's why Buster picked him.
Yeah. I mean, you look at his history in being a pro scouting director and things like that. He should have a pretty solid understanding of the value of both his players and guys around the league. So you really should see more aggression there.
Yeah, and yes. I like that you bring up the Orioles farm system, Dan, because Cody and I have brought up, making them a trade partner for a while. We actually did bring up, packaging possibly Webb and Doval last year, prior to the deadline when Doval's value is a lot higher.
Right.
I thought it was a huge mistake not trading him when we could have, because if you look at the Orioles farm system, you could be looking at, not quite a Juan Soto trade haul, but you could be looking at a huge haul for those two guys and be looking at possibly getting 5 to 6 of the Orioles top 10 prospects. And all of those guys are within a year or two of being major league ready. So you wouldn't even be looking at this long-term rebuild. You'd be looking at more retooling. And they actually just drafted another really good power hitter in Vance Honeycutt in the draft last year. And I would have loved him in the first round this year. Tons of raw power. So I would love to see the Orioles as a trade partner if, they were to consider that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. What do you think, Lou? Do you think Doval, you got yourself tossed out of Oracle Park from your front row seats yelling at Doval as he got walked, taken out of the game? Was that the game Soto hit the home run?
Yeah, he only gave up 4. Couldn't even get anybody out. You know what? I know what we're talking, but I think Doval's value is so low right now. The Giants are going to do whatever it is to get rid of him, so they don't have to deal with him mentally and physically. He's not the same player. I think right now what we're talking, when you hear about everything going on in the meetings and you hear nothing about the Giants except, we're sort of waiting, and you hear what you hear on Twitter, but the big 3 pitchers aren't coming here, right? Snell, Burns, Fried, they're gone. They're going to go somewhere else. They want to play for a winner. We're talking about Adames today. I heard the Dodgers at least, made an attempt.
I've heard they made an offer.
Haven't done anything. They're sitting on their thumbs. And I think what's going to be happening with the Giants, we're going to be battling with Colorado because every team in our division is going to get better, and we're going to stay the same because we have too much dead wood. When you go through these guys that, could maybe help where we're cutting part of our thing, which is fine, but some of the people that are coming back, I don't want back. We have a team that can't be over 500 that is not that good. Our team right now is more like rehabbing, excuse central. We have teams that nobody else wants. And, yeah, you bring up a great point about Webb, but I don't think the Giants have enough balls to actually trade Webb. I think it's going to be all talk. He's going to be sitting with us. And then when you look, there's nobody really on our team that anybody really else would want. Nobody wants Yaz. We're sort of going to be stuck with him. Watch, as a 5th outfielder. We have guys that if we make a trade, we're going to have to probably trade 2 or 3 guys to get someone adequate. We just don't have anybody. We're stuck for the next 2 years of mediocrity. And, I'm a little upset because I had to pay my season tickets back at the end of September for next year. You get teased, we got Buster in charge, which we all knew was just sort of a name. Now we sort of have a GM that's never been the GM. He was an assistant. And being a season ticket holder, I think I sort of got screwed over because I think our team's going to be worse than better. And everybody else in our division is hungry. We're sort of like, it's gotten so old. We're happy where we are. And I know we keep going back. That was Farhan's thing, but I think it's the whole front office.
Well, I hear your frustration. As a former season ticket holder, I was tired of it myself because, we are forced to pay the money before we know what they're going to do. And, last year, I think Farhan kind of knew make the playoffs or this is it last year. I think there was a gut feeling that he had, whether it was a gut feeling or he had been told by ownership, look, we need to see real progress this year. And he went out and he signed a lot of guys. And, I have to admit, I thought the Soler signing at the time, I was for it. So I can't really dog it. He didn't perform. I thought the Giants needed a power hitter, but, little did I know that Soler would strike out constantly with runners in scoring position, and Chapman does the same thing. And the rest of the lineup just, no contact hitters throughout the whole lineup except Jung-Hoo Lee. And then he gets hurt. And the other guy's Matos, who they wouldn't keep up and give him a chance. So the rest of the team struck out like crazy, and they wondered why they couldn't score with
And
runners.
Dan,
in
the other
scoring
thing is,
position.
remember, last year we broke a record for the most strikeouts in the major leagues. So it should come no surprise that this year we had the same problem. And if we're going to go down $50 million, then why in the hell did we sign Chapman for 6 years for a guy that can't hit? Yeah, he's great defensively, but we just blew $150 million on a guy that can't hit in the clutch.
Well, that's the problem with Chapman. He's a great third baseman. He's a great guy to have because he plays every day. He leads. He's a good ball player. I mean, he's one of the top, 20 ball players probably in the National League. But the problem is there's nothing around him. And I think the mistake the Giants made was giving him the 6 years. I think they should have said, we're willing to go 4, maybe a 5th year with a mutual option or something of that nature. But they got scared and they didn't want him to leave. And I don't think anybody else really would have given him more than 4 years across baseball. We saw that last year. Nobody, and now he's a year older. And, you got to find, like Mad Dog Russo said, the Giants need to go get better before they start signing top free agents. And I agree. I don't think you go out and get a Juan Soto. And I think Soto sees that, to just sit here and, not have anybody protection around him. So I think the Giants' best move, and I want to hear from Nick as well what you think, Nick. Do you think they should do, I don't know what you call it, a soft rebuild or a complete rebuild, or do you think they should continue doing what they've been doing, which is try to win around the margins and see if they can get to that 86, 87 and maybe squeak into a wild card?
No, I mean, I've been a huge proponent, and I despise Larry Bear's quote that he's had forever, that we don't rebuild in San Francisco. Our fans won't stand for that, we retool or whatever, their little motto that he has, that he doesn't think the fans are educated enough to understand if we tank for a year or two, they can't handle that. I don't get that whatsoever. And in fact, with the report of them saying we're going to cut back payroll, I think fans would accept them reducing payroll if they said, yeah, you know what, we're going to reset the payroll, get it down lower, we're going to sell off some of the older players and do, a 1 to 2 year rebuild. The fan base would understand that. I really do think they would, because I think everybody's tired of a decade of mediocrity. So let's just blow it up for a year or two, get the payroll down. You bring up Eldridge this year at some point. You get some, you have Matos play, and then you start to build it back up. But like you said, I mean, spending all that money on Chapman, it's, you don't. What's the point of spending that money on him? Either if you spend that money on him, that means you're going to start dropping $500 million contracts on other guys. To me, you don't just give that money to him and then you don't put more money around him on the field. It just doesn't make sense.
That makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. I personally, in fact, spoke with Casey Schmidt today. He'll probably join us hopefully next week sometime on here on NorCal Sports Network. But I would personally like to see them give Casey a shot and put that money into pitching and trade the guys. I want to see Casey play. And to me, his natural position is third base. The next best place you can put him is second base, I think. Go out and get a shortstop. Casey Schmidt can turn the double play probably better than anybody in baseball if you put him at second base. He's got a cannon of an arm, and he's got an unbelievable glove. He's quicker than lightning getting the ball out of his glove, which you want in a second baseman. I think you can make him an everyday second baseman. I think he can hit you 15 to 20 home runs, drive in 75 runs, and he could probably hit you 240 plus. That's a solid second baseman in today's game.
Sure.
And he has the potential to be a Gold Glove, but you can't just keep making these guys that you signed as first and second round draft picks as utility guys. They've either got to play or move off of them, but you can't just these are your top picks, and either trade them or utilize them. To me, the best place for Tyler Fitzgerald is make him a Chris Taylor type guy that was when he was with the Dodgers. Spell guys, give a day off a week. Let Fitzgerald play 5 days a week at different positions. He can play second. He can play short. He can play third. He can play center. He can play left. Heck, if he could do those, he could play right. We've even seen him play first base. Use the speed and talent that you have and get pitching and get defense. And, if you'll find a hitter. Eldridge is going to be a power hitter. Chapman will give you 25 home runs probably, but get a couple of guys around him. The guys that the Orioles that you mentioned, Ricky, I wanted Kobe Mayo last year at the deadline. There was a couple guys I wanted Mayo, and then I wanted the Colton Cowser. Go get a couple guys like that and stick them in the lineup. And I think you could have them. And then I really do. I think Webb and Doval last year, and maybe somebody else, maybe another minor like a Mason Black or something thrown in there. I think you could have got those guys last year. And what did we get for it? We got 80 and 82. And where are we going to be this year with this? I mean, we don't know what the ultimate lineup is. I mean, we'll all readjust and make our predictions again in spring. But if they don't do a whole lot, I don't see them improving, as Lou said. Do you guys?
I mean, I think the signs that have been pointed so far, that seems very obvious to me. I don't know if anybody's mentioned it because I came in late. I mean, I think I would be shocked if they don't sign Ha-Seong Kim from the Padres. I mean, every sign in the world points to them signing him, and that he wants to be a Giant too. So that's going to make them want to sign him because he's going to want to be with Melvin, and Matt Williams has great relations with players, and then his best friend's Lee. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. And they want a defensive shortstop, all that stuff. I mean, Posey's already said that. He wants a defensive shortstop, and Posey said he wants Fitzgerald to play other positions, like you're saying. Like, I think he wants to use, Posey did say that.
Posey did say that. Good.
Yeah. So, I mean, seems like that's the most obvious thing that they're going to try to get done is him. And I think a lot of the fans already know that on Twitter. And
he's probably not ready till what, June or July?
They're saying, I think I saw they felt May he would be ready. So you'd probably have Fitzgerald play shortstop for a month or something until he's ready. I don't know.
May, June.
Last I looked, it said targeting late April, somewhere between late April and mid-May. It's kind of the
count on June 1st then.
Yeah, always aim a little bit later. Yeah.
Generally. So, I mean, I could live with that. I mean, I like Ha-Seong Kim. He's not going to hit him. He's a solid player, but he's not.
He just can't be your headliner.
Right.
That can't be the guy that you go out and you go, this is our answer to all our lineup problems. He is a part of the solution. He can be part of what makes your lineup better and deeper and, give you different elements to beat teams different ways. I mean, he's like 80th percentile on sprint speed. He stole 60 bags over the last couple of years. He's, he doesn't strike out a ton. He gets on base a good amount. Like, he could be a decent top of the order guy, but you still got to go get a middle of the order bat to go with him. If you do, then all of a sudden, whenever Eldridge gets up, your top 6 probably looks pretty decent for once and a little, actually respectable, but he can't be the only guy that you go out and get and go, okay, well, that's going to fix our offensive issues, because it's not. Like, it'll help a little, but it's not going to fix anything.
Right. So who are the free agents? If we took a look at position by position, let's just pull that up and give me your wish list. Each one of you guys, give me your wish list of any catchers that you want to sign instead of Tom Murphy behind the plate as the backup. Is it Darno?
Darno.
Okay. Travis Darno. I like him. It's too bad we can't cry over spilled milk, but we had Joey Bart, but he probably needed to move on to a new scene anyway, because it wasn't working with him with this previous regime. So Darno, what do you guys, anybody else in there that you see as you guys like? Oh, Hedges already signed with Cleveland. Okay. You really need a right-handed bat. What do you think of Carson Kelly?
I mean, he's decent as a defensive backup for sure. I mean, he's been around a long time. I mean, I feel like he'd handle the staff really well, and he'd be a huge upgrade over our current backup defensively. So, I mean, I think that needs to be the priority more than anything. You can't have a bat first, if that's what you want to call it, backup catcher.
Okay. So would he be like, would it be Darno 1A and Kelly 1B, or is it 1 and 2? Is it close, or do you think either one of those guys? I mean, Darno's getting up there in age. He's 36. Kelly's only 30.
Darno's the guy I would look to bring in on just a 1 or 2 year deal, but he's a guy who could I know Giants fans would come at me for saying this, but he's somebody you could have platoon with Bailey, honestly, because he's very reliable both defensively and offensively. So he's a guy who'd give you a huge upgrade at the plate for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all for platooning Bailey too, in a way, because I'd rather see him keep his little bit more strength for the rest of the season. I mean, he seems to, kind of just teeter out at the second half. All right, so we've got catcher. Now, how about first base? I like Christian Walker for a year or two, but I don't know if Christian Walker likes us. He's
probably going to get 3 years anyway, and at that point, it's just not a fit.
Yeah, because you don't want to block Eldridge.
Yeah.
It's
an impossible situation where he's too good defensively to DH him. Walker is way better defensively than Eldridge, but if you're trying to do what's in the best interest of Bryce and his development, he needs to play every day at first. You can't just bring him up and DH him. That makes no sense. It's not how you handle it's not how you should handle your young players. Farhan probably would have done it, but it's not how you handle your young players.
Could you hide him in right field for 2 years?
Bryce or Walker?
Eldridge.
I wouldn't. I mean, you'd have to move Ramos to right and hide him in left.
Okay.
If you're going to do that.
All right, because that's the position he was playing, right? Right field, Eldridge. That's what he was brought up. Okay, so really, that's the only person. I'm not interested in Paul Goldschmidt at this point. Alonso, obviously, but he's going to require a 5 to 6 year deal minimum, I think. And I don't think the Giants are going to go after him again. He's got a qualifying offer.
What about Josh Bell?
Bell, he's
better
a guy
than anything we've had the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Better than late night Lamont put me to sleep this year. Thanks.
Yeah, you could put Bell would be a 1 year deal guy.
I mean, he's switch hitter too.
I see. If I'm a Josh Bell though, and his agent, they're not going to want to sign with San Francisco because they know Eldridge that by July they're going to want to have Eldridge up here probably.
Yeah.
So the only guy on that list that I see realistically, if I'm thinking like Posey, because he's probably got a relationship with him.
Solano,
his last legs, he'd be a good mentor.
Donovan
it just
Solano?
seems like an old Sabian move would be they would sign Paul Goldschmidt.
Oh, Goldschmidt. Okay.
Yeah. That seems like that's not. I'm not saying that's what I would want, but that just seems like if Posey's being mentored by Sabian and he's talking about. I'm just trying to sit in Sabian or in Posey's
That's
head.
true. That's a good point.
I just see Paul Goldschmidt as what he would do, and have him, and then that he's gonna know that Eldridge is gonna take his job eventually, but you get him on a 1 year deal.
I can kind of see that.
And then Goldschmidt can DH when Eldridge comes up later in the year or something. I don't know. It just seems like an old Sabian move back in the day.
I mean, Goldschmidt hits well in Oracle Park. I mean, he has for his whole career. Sure. He's maybe he's got a little bit of
old.
Maybe he's got a little life left in him at Oracle.
That's been the Giants' problem the last couple of years. Oh, the guy was good 5 years ago. I know he just had 2 surgeries, but hopefully we can get him how he was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But the good news is, Dan, your Cal Bears survived tonight, win by 10 on the road.
I was watching it right here. There it is.
Okay, sorry.
I'm multitasking, watching Cal. Finally,
honestly, with Goldschmidt, I wouldn't be shocked if he actually, if you signed him to a 1 year deal. It really wouldn't surprise me if he all of a sudden went back to closer to an 800 OPS for 1 year. Nothing would shock me if he just had a good year.
He just had a bad year last year, but maybe he comes, I guess if you look at it that way, I could be talked into it. How about second base? Interest in anyone there?
Can I say Ha-Seong Kim and you signed Adames also. Not going to happen, but
no interest in Gleyber Torres. 20% strikeout rate, by the way, for Torres. I checked that out. Nobody else excites me on that list.
Another guy to add to that list too is Alex Bregman. I guess he's willing to move over to second base, is what they're reporting now. I personally wouldn't go after Bregman, but he is another option for second base. Just a very expensive one.
Yeah. Okay. Now we know the shortstops. It's Adames and Kim. There's really nobody else that we could bring Nick Ahmed or Brandon Crawford back.
Paul DeYoung.
Yeah, we've had
still
them all,
my best
right?
tweet of the year.
Yeah, is Paul DeYoung on the? Oh, there's Paul DeYoung. Hey, okay. What happened to Tim Anderson? He won a batting title 2 or 3 years ago. He just fell completely.
Oh
off
God!
the face of the earth.
His last 4 years, he's the worst.
Don't get me
in
started
baseball.
on Tim Anderson.
That's the Giants move right there. Tim Anderson. Oh, we wanted him 6 years ago, couldn't get him. We wanted him 3 years ago, we couldn't get him. Yeah, let's get him now at his worst. So typical.
Well, third baseman's out. We'll just skip that now that we've got Chapman signed for 6 years. Blocking Casey Schmidt. Did you guys notice how Casey played when Chapman was on paternity leave last year at the end of the season? How well he played at third base, because it was like, hey, I'm back at my normal position where I feel like myself. I'll dive and make Chapman-like plays and show you what you could have had.
I think, and honestly, that's like an underrated reason to keep Schmidt and keep him on the roster is, I mean, whether you want to put him at second base or, he stays as one of the bench infielders that kind of bounces around and fits starts every day at second base, whatever you decide to do with him, as durable as Chapman has been in his career, like stuff happens. You break fingers, you get injured, you pull a hamstring, like things happen. And the fact that you have a guy on the roster that if Chapman were to get injured and miss an extended period of time, and you can stick someone at third base and literally not miss a step at third base defensively, like that's incredibly valuable when you're talking about having a Gold Glover already at third base and you're not dropping off defensively.
No, you're not going to drop off. You got another Gold Glover at third base. Okay, the outfield. We're looking here at Tyler O'Neill, Profar. Oh, Mark Cannon, our own, and Conforto. Look at that. This list is not very impressive. It's old, as most. This is why Soto's going to get a bag.
Yeah,
he's unbelievable. 26 years old, allegedly. I still throw that caveat in there from the Dominican. I mean, how many guys from the Dominican have come out later after their careers and said, yeah, I was really 25 when I said I was 20. My birth certificate.
Padres guy.
Yeah, how about that Padre? What is he, 14 now? He's really, they found out he's 19. Oh, gosh.
It reminds me of the bench warmers thing with the piece of paper and it says, I am 12.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at a 14-year-old, a kid that's 19 is getting away at 14. Come on. I mean, what made you suspicious? I don't know. I just think it's time to give Matos a shot in the outfield. Unless you're getting a superstar like Soto, why do you want to keep blocking? Matos is what, 23?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've been pounding the table for that one. Put Yaz on the bench or trade him and eat half his salary. I don't really care, but I would put Matos out there and left and shift Ramos to right. And
yes, Lee in center.
And now that you've gotten rid of Vili and Guerrero and Farhan in the front office that wanted him to be a power hitting pull hitter and hit 800 fly balls to left field, maybe you can actually let the guy be what you play to his strengths and be what he is and not try and be something he's not. Start using the whole field again. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the Venezuelan highlights, but
I've been watching.
But he's hit a couple doubles to right center field. I'm like, I get more excited about that than the home run he hit to left. I care less if he hits a home run to left. That's not his game. So
yeah, I mean that'll be the interesting thing for the whole season, the off season and the season, is we don't know how Posey operates. We don't know how the new GM operates.
Yeah.
We all of us in here know exactly what to expect from how Farhan's going to operate, what kind of moves he's going to make, all that. We don't really know what Posey's MO is yet. And we don't know now with Farhan out of the thing, how much different the coaching staff's going to coach. I do know when Matos was coming up, Burrell was working with the minor leaguers a lot, and Burrell raved over his bat to ball skill, hitting the ball all over the field, line drives, like old school type stuff. And then that all changed this year, and all of a sudden he's out of favor. And I don't think that was because of Burrell. I think that was other people. Now Posey's talking about, bring back the RBI. Posey's cares about batting average. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a completely different change on, how they're handling Matos this year. And it'll kind of reflect back on, how much stroke Farhan and them had on playing time and all that with some of these guys and what was going on. So it'll be interesting. But
and to your point, like for those of us that watched him in 2023, and I don't know how many of you guys, I know Dan, you do a little bit, Ricky, I know for sure you do. Like a lot of us watch a lot of the minor league games and stuff like that. And watching Matos's approach, both in the minors and the majors in 2023, like his approach was super advanced and it was very major league ready. He lacked the necessary strength. Well, and then he put on all the muscle. So everyone was like, okay, this guy's going to break out this year. But his approach was just several levels below where it was in 2023. His approach was terrible last season. He swung at everything, he tried to pull everything in the air. It was just not his game. If he could get his approach back to what it was in 2023 with what he's added muscle and strength wise, he could be a really good player like right now. At least I think he could, and he would give this lineup some more, contact ability that they really need. So.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, kids, and the fact that he's still really young. I mean, he sounds old to us because seems like he's been with the Giants for like 8-9 years, but we've been hearing about him since he was 16.
Yeah,
and
him and Luciano.
Yeah, so I don't see any center fielders there that the Giants. Anything there you guys like?
Pass.
Yeah.
No.
Right fielders. Okay. The top three guys, I would take any one of those guys.
Yeah.
Soto, Santander, or Teoscar. They all got qualifying offers. That's one that you might look at, but I think the best chance they have on that list is Santander. I could see the Giants ending up with him. I could see a world where they make him, but again, there's a lot of other teams that are going to go after him as well.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
You got to overpay if you want a guy like that, but like for once, I would love for them to actually put the biggest offer for one of these guys out there and, just be willing to accept the fact that it's going to take an overpay. Like that's free agency. You don't get deals, and you especially don't get deals when you're the Giants and you're in California with the taxes, bad weather and night games, cold night games, and big park. It's like, you're not going to get these guys for the same money they're getting elsewhere. You're going to have to blow them out of the water. But I do think if you got a Kim and a Santander, both guys that are high contact guys, both guys that don't strike out a ton, they're both well above. Kim is like elite plate discipline numbers when you look at his chase and all that stuff. But Santander, like his contact rates, his whiff rates, they're well above average. I mean, you could start developing an identity as a team that's going to put the ball in play. And then, and he's still got a ton of pop from both sides. So
Santander for career, he struck out 644 times. Hold on here. 644 divided by how many plate appearances? 3115. So yeah, he's right about 20.5%. Not bad for a power hitter at all. That's very good
last
for
season,
a power hitter.
Last season he was 76 percentile on whiff and 66 on strikeout.
Yeah, I mean, so there we go. And he's what, 30 years old, Santander? Let me look. 30. Yeah, I think Hernandez don't you think he's going back to the Dodgers?
Yeah, he wants to be there bad.
Yeah.
He's
I think the only chance that he's not a Dodger is if the Dodgers make an overwhelming offer early they throw out an offer to Soto to see if he'll bite. And if he wants to come, then Santander's probably, left the odd man out. But I mean, they've already mentioned that Mookie Betts they want to bring him back to the infield. So I think, they have plans on bringing Hernandez back. All right. So let me move on to designated hitters. Nothing for our ballpark excites me there. Jock had a good year last year, but that was in Arizona. He doesn't do well at Oracle.
I think we do a sign and trade. You sign Andrew McCutchen and trade him to Pittsburgh for Brian Reynolds.
There we go. All right. This is the area that they can make a move, in my opinion. No qualifying offer to get Snell. I don't know any shot they have of bringing Snell back.
I think it's there. It just depends on what he gets. They say it's unlikely, but if nobody gives him 5+ years, if his range ends up being 3 or 4 years with a high AAV, I could see him coming back.
Why wouldn't you give him 5? You gave Chapman 6.
I'm not saying I wouldn't give him 5.
No, I know.
I just don't think the Giants
would. To me, if I'm going to do a qualifying offer, my plan would be, okay, you've got $67 million to spend. Okay. You can get it down. You can probably make it 85, as we talked about, by moving off of a few guys. If you actually if you put $70 million into pitching, let's say you can't get both Snell and Burns. Let's say you can only get one of them. You go get Kikuchi as a second guy and go get an Evaldi, or I even like a Nick Martinez from Cincinnati. He got a
QO.
Oh, he did. Yeah. But Evaldi is a guy that I would do on a 2-year deal. You might even bring Alex Cobb back. I've heard that's a possibility, and he wouldn't cost much. But load up on pitching, bring in 3-4 starters, and move Webb and get 2 valuable players that are ready to play right now, and start building, Matos, Ramos, Eldridge, couple of guys you get. Let's say you get a couple guys from Baltimore, and maybe you can package, like you said, Ricky, package Webb and Doval and get a couple of guys that are ready to play in that lineup. Maybe you can go out and get a Bo Bichette from Toronto. Toronto's ranked lower than the Giants. They're the second or third worst ranked team going into next year with their with their roster. Guerrero, I don't think they're going to move off Guerrero. I think they're going to try and sign him long-term in Toronto. But you could get a Bichette, or go find, package a deal, get creative. If you want to go get the kid from Boston, the shortstop, what's his name? Morello or something? I think his value's too high, though. You know who I'm talking about? The kid from the young draft pick kid a few years ago, Boston, out of high school.
Marcelo Meyer.
Yeah, Meyer. I got his name wrong. I said, yeah, Meyer. I don't know let me look what his value is. It might be too high. You might not even be able to get him with Webb. Let me just look at his value.
Hey, Dan, you keep saying, we are limited on funds, but you want to get 3 starting pitchers. An average good starting pitcher on here, I'm looking, it's probably going to cost between, I'd say, 20 minimum up to maybe 35 million. I don't know how you're going to get 3.
No, I think the big ones are going to be Snell and Burns, 30 plus.
I think they're all going to be 35, but some of these.
I don't think Evaldi
is probably going to be upper 20s.
No, I'm saying if you can get one of those guys, Snell or Burns, that gives you one, and then you go get Evaldi. Evaldi's going to be in the below.
I think Waka's
50.
a good combination, good comp for Evaldi. He got 351.
Yeah, so he got what, 17 a year exactly. So you could go get an Evaldi.
Yeah, but that's what he got previously. Now that he's a free agent, it's going
no.
to
Waka
be
just
more.
signed.
No,
Waka
Waka
just signed. Waka
yeah.
just signed with
Oh,
re-signed with Kansas City.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's a good comp for him. Would be like what
So,
Waka got.
I think you could spend, in that 30 range, and then a couple of other pitchers. You could spend $60 million on starting pitching, and then fill in with trades guys that are making $700,000-800,000, the major league minimums, and start building the team for the future. It doesn't take that long if you do it right. You can have an exciting team. You can have an exciting team in 2 to 3 years. Yeah. Remember how the Astros were horrible? They lost 100 straight games, like in 10, 11, 12, 11, 12, 13, somewhere around there. And then all of a sudden, all those young guys came up together. Same with the Orioles. Now the Orioles are going to be perennial, 90-plus win team along with the Astros. And the Astros are still maintaining it because they set a culture. And now and then they developed. You got to get better minor league players. This is what really scares me with the Giants is, where are the guy? I mean, we're talking about Eldridge. You hope he makes it. I think he will. But what happens if something happens to him and he gets an injury or something, and then you just built your whole fortunes on one guy? You need like 6-7 guys that are ready to contribute, that are not just, I don't want to see any more Donovan Walton guys. I'm sorry. No. Our team, the 40-man roster, is full of Donovan Waltons that you could go pluck off of any roster in baseball. And get me guys, look at how many guys the Orioles ended up. They moved a couple of their guys last year at the deadline. And, those guys are going to contribute right away. And there's other teams that have them. I mean, I just looked up the trade value of Marcelo Meyer. It's 64.9. So it's less than Logan Webb. So you could, I don't know if teams, but you gotta throw out Webb out there and start seeing what teams might give you. You don't know if you can do that quietly without saying he's on the block. Yeah. You just have to go out there and see, what would you be willing to give? Yeah. I mean, I would love to have a young shortstop that is going to be a fixture. That's going to be why do we, we talk about Juan Soto, we talk about Ohtani, and those guys are, and we had Barry Bonds. Those guys are few and far between, but there are players out there that you can draft and develop that can become a Francisco Lindor type. You just got to find them and develop them. Yeah. And I don't know what the answer is. Maybe this kid that they're going to supposedly sign this year, who's the number one international prospect. What's that guy's name?
Lindor comps.
Yeah,
Oscar
exactly.
Gonzalez and Jose Reyes comps.
Right. So maybe that's the guy. Maybe that's the start. But he's probably 6 years away?
At least.
Maybe. Yeah. Unless he's one of those special guys that's up at 19 or 20, probably. So.
Yeah. What was the comment we just had up there?
To your point with Webb, the hard thing with Webb, just given his standing with the organization and amongst fans, is like you're going to have to. It's hard to say you're going to have to win the trade because you're not going to know if you won the trade for years, realistically. But you almost have to, like, if you're going to trade him, you're going to have to get a king's ransom back to where there's at least the appearance that you won the trade, because otherwise, I mean, you better hope it works, because the fans are going to burn the place down if he goes and wins a World Series with Baltimore and the guys you get are just terrible. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, I get it. And I don't really want to trade Webb because I like him. He's a great guy and he's from Northern California. He's up from the Sacramento area. But are they doing with him? They didn't even have a 500 record when he pitched last year. In games he started, they were under 500. So you've got to build around him. And I don't know what pieces they have. I mean, Maniason's going to have to get very, very creative to find guys off other rosters if he's going to be able to pick up guys through trades without giving up anybody that's of real value from the Giants. I don't know. Maybe Harrison's on the block.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think they definitely have they have options to trade from as far as guys like Harrison, Wisenhunt, Whitman. Like they got a surplus with lefty starters in particular. If you're willing to move a guy like Birdsong, that there's young pitching there that you can trade from. It's just, do you believe in those guys? Do you think they're going to develop into really good starters? In which case you'd probably rather hold on to those guys, because young starting pitching that's cheap is a quick way to get good fast. But though that's where you have value. If you want to hold on to Webb and then try and sign a starter and then trade from your surplus, that's another way to do it. So
yeah, it's
and I'm not against trading Webb. Trust me. We brought it up like last year that it would have been a gutsy thing to do and a good idea. It's just a difficult situation to try and.
Well, I think it's difficult in the sense that, he's really the only guy that's homegrown that's had success consistently. And, and he's loves the team. He loves the organization. Yet, if you're really trying to build a winning culture, you don't have, he is your biggest value. Yeah. And he's rotting away in this team because they're not building around him. They can't score runs. And I don't know if there's much difference coming back. Maybe Jung-Hoo Lee sets a table a little bit. Maybe he's on base a little bit more. Maybe they let Matos play in the lineup and he's driving in a lot of runs because he makes contact. I mean, I think Matos would have more RBIs if he batted in the middle of the order, 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th, 6th, not 4th, but 2nd, 5th, or 6th than Matt Chapman would, because he hits the ball when runners are on base. I mean, sometimes it's just a ground ball is all you need. We saw that in the playoffs. Like, okay, infield's back, runners on third, they're giving you a run, and that's when the Giants couldn't score. Just make contact. And they've got to find 3 or 4 guys at least.
Remember 2 sacrifice flies by the Dodgers in the World Series. 2 sacrifice flies.
Giants got
they won because they put the ball in play in that 5th inning. They got like 3 extra outs because the Yankees defense was terrible because they just put the ball in play. It's like,
Yep.
Tom Dolan, trading Webb is a dumb idea. Your pen is already getting killed by these bullpen games, and you want to move 250 inning. Well, he's actually about 210, but your starter, that would be as dumb as a bag of hammers. Okay, well that's a good way of looking at it. What was his name? Tom. I respect that, but my plan is not to just get rid of pitching. It's to bring in more pitching. It's only if you added 3 or 4 starters through free agency that you could trade a Logan Webb. That's my point. There's the other option. You could look at it this way. You could say we're going to add 3 pitchers and keep Webb and have this unbelievable 5-man staff, possibly 6 deep when an injury comes. There's that idea. But then where are you going to find players? The Giants starting 9 is in the bottom third of baseball. It just is. And I don't see it getting better. Tell me where it gets better from last year. I'm open to, I don't see it getting better. Maybe if Jung-Hoo Lee's healthy and that's
it's
one
marginal
guy.
things. It's marginal things like you're saying. Do you get another catcher? Or, Tom Murphy, I believe I had read or heard from somebody through the grapevine. Tom Murphy was actually recommended and signed through Nick Hundley to Posey. That Murphy works a lot with Nick Hundley, and Hundley is Posey's like best friend off the field and stuff. And I guess it was actually, so it was not a Farhan sign. That supposedly was a Posey sign. That Posey was the one through Hundley that was like, hey, you need to sign this guy. So that's why I don't think that they're going to add. If Murphy's healthy and they think he can play, I think he's going to play this year. And I mean, you look at his numbers, the guy can hit. You know, he's not a great defensive catcher, but he really can't hit. I know he had a terrible start, but career-wise, he's not a bad right-handed platoon
Yeah,
bat.
he's got some pop. He's got some pop.
So I mean, I think he definitely can hit a lot better than Kirk Casale and the other crap we were throwing out there this year.
True.
So you look at it's like yet again, but it's on the fringes, it's on the margins. It's more that kind of forehand stuff. Where could we get better? Some guys stay healthy. There's little silly stuff like that. That it's not a big difference overall. You know, like I said, you get Kim maybe. I don't see. The thing is too is I don't know what is our ownership mandating too, because a lot of it isn't. You know, we're spitballing here, but are they still thinking like, oh, we need to win, we need to make the playoffs this year? Because then if they are looking at that free agent list, yeah, you're not, going to make that offense good out of that free agent list. You're just not. So like you're saying, Dan, realistically, I could see Posey maybe saying, hey, we're just going to go all pitching. And, you get Kim, the defense will be better with Kim. You hope Jung-Ho Lee in center is going to make the defense a little bit better. He's going to get on base. And, maybe you're just going to squeak out just barely enough offense and then just have lights out pitching to maybe be a wild card team. That to me just feels like a realistic Giants thing they would try to do.
Don't you think they need to choose a direction though?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean,
yes,
they can't just be this middling team that's we've seen a 500 basically team for the last 3 years. And then prior to that, they were 500 in 2020, 19, they hovered a little below 500, 17 and 18, they were awful.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, totally.
For a franchise of this magnitude to make the playoffs once since 2017 is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's unacceptable.
It's funny because I look at this team and I feel like they're like simultaneously not that far off and also super far off at the same time. It's because you have a good young core with Bailey, Ramos. Lee is only going to be 26 right next season. You have a bunch of good young pitching that has a lot of upside still. What now? Do they develop or not? Because especially with Harrison and Birdsong, there's a lot of command issues there. I look at their bullpen. They really have the makings of an elite bullpen if they can just eat up some innings out of their starting pitching and stop gassing them by June. Give their pen a chance all season. But at the flip side, it's like, okay, you need those young pitchers to take a step. You need to actually do something to address your offense because I watched last season. That was one of the worst situational hitting teams I've ever seen in all my years watching baseball, especially the last 2 years. They've been atrocious. They could have won 6, 7, 8 games more last season if they both were just better in situational at bats and also didn't run into a bunch of stupid outs on the bases. So it's like they're really not that far off. It just shows how much like the margins matter in baseball, like little things like that. But also like, what are you going to do to address that? Like, are we going to actually go out and do something to fix that problem? Or are we going to run it back with Yaz taking 400 to 500 at bats and striking out in big situations, Chapman being your 4-hitter and striking out with runners on third and less than 2 outs? Like, are we going to keep doing that or are we going to fix the problem?
Yeah, please. And what do you guys think of the Jordan Hicks starting pitching experiment? Are you guys want to see that or are you done with that?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. We're all in agreement there. I don't understand that. I hope they're not planning on doing that. I mean, make a killer back. You can have, if you do keep Doval and he gets fixed, and I think with the right environment, he could. But like Lou said, it might be time to move him because his heads might just need new space, But I think you can still get something of value like I threw out there, Enrique Bradfield. I think that's the type of player that would be really good for the Giants' future. Is he's a guy that's 2 years away, and he can when Lee moves on. If you got to figure if Lee's really good, he's going to opt out. If he stinks, you're stuck with him, and you want to move him. So why not have somebody?
I just don't think you can get that for him right now.
Well, I don't know.
You're just giving him away if you do it right now.
You mean giving you Doval?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get anything of value for him right now.
Well, the trade machine, I don't know if it works. How that the trade machine says Bradfield and Doval are equal. Actually, Doval's slightly a little higher, 11.5 to 11.1, something like that. So if you look at the trade value machine, that works. That's the kind of thing, though, I think the Giants need to stop looking at. Ryan, get out of here.
I'm not against it. Like if someone is willing if someone's willing to pay closer to what his value was earlier last season because they love the guy, they think he's going to be good, and they're willing to overpay for him, I'm all for it. I just don't think anyone's going to do that.
I don't feel like a lot of GMs, I don't feel like, especially in the winter, are going to care to trade for him anyways, because they're gonna think, because all these teams have an electric arm in their AAA that they think this guy might step up this year and that guy, so they're gonna want to see what they have going. It's like Doval's value will be up when it's the trade deadline and there's a team pushing to make the playoffs who's got a struggling closer and they desperately need somebody. That's when you're going to get somebody backed in the corner where they're going to give up a good player. Right now in the winter, I don't think anybody's really going to be eager to give you anything for Doval in the winter when they got a whole spring to evaluate their bullpen and everything. So.
Yeah. Aaron, what do you think of this comment? Wouldn't surprise me if Yaz stays. Seems like a Posey type of player, solid defense, leader, clubhouse guy, etc. Like Chapman.
I predict he will stay. I just don't think he should.
Yeah.
Posey
are you out of your mind for a bum like that?
He said he's just saying wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me if he
Posey's
stays.
comment on Yaz, somebody had asked him about him, and he said that Posey didn't exactly make a ringing endorsement. Posey kind of left it kind of open. If you I like to read through the tea leaves a little bit, but he said Yaz is somebody I'm going to have to look at, kind of, and he said it's tough because I played with the guy. But when you're saying that kind of makes it sound like you're not you're like yeah, I played with him, so it's going to be a tough conversation to have. So Posey didn't sound like he was exactly like, oh heck yeah, we're keeping Yaz and everything. It didn't really scream to me that he's 100% like gung ho.
Yeah,
and I'll
was it you that brought up like the concern as far as, or was it Dan, that as far as the concern of like, is he going to be able to separate his relationships with these guys as teammates? For some of these guys, like Yaz, like, is he going to be able to take a step back and be like, yeah, we're friends, we were teammates, but like, it's time to move on.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think he's worth keeping around at that dollar figure, especially as a fourth outfielder. You have young guys that you need to give some kind of run to that can give you the same level of defense. Like McRae, he was great out there last year filling in center field. And I know his bat isn't going to be on the level of Yaz's, but as a fourth outfielder, you do not need to be spending $9-10 million a year.
No, you don't. No. And that's a great point, Ricky, because $10 million on a fourth outfielder, they've got to start playing Matos, give him the job daily. Just let it be. Last year they came out of spring training and they announced that it was, or not Haniger, but Conforto, Yaz, and Jung-Hoo Lee as a starting outfield, and it was going to remain that way. They weren't going to do the platoon, and then 3-4 weeks in, they're platooning because those guys couldn't hit left hand.
Well,
Conforto did all right, but
what's honestly the risk in playing Matos? Like I see people say like, oh well, he's not the better player right now. It's like, okay, he might be the better player, he might be worse, but you're not a playoff team as it is. We have 3 straight years of evidence that this team with Yaz is not good enough. So we're going to go from 80 wins to 78 wins or 77 wins. Like, you don't get extra points for missing the playoffs by less games. Who cares at that point? You either make it or you miss it, and they keep missing
The other
it.
guy that nobody mentioned too. I mean, they are 100% moving Luciano to left field. This year.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not playing the infield anymore. So,
And
that's a guy that he's gonna be in AAA obviously, but he's gonna need reps, and so it's just another guy to add to that outfield logjam. That
I wanted to see him move Luciano this winter to get him first base. I wanted to see him learn first base because he could be shortstop up until Eldridge gets here, and then if he hits, now he's tradable, or you can make him a DH. But they don't have a power hitting first baseman, and I'd like to see Luciano get back to that, where he hits for power. The other thing I thought about Yaz, Yaz could be a pretty decent player in Yankee Stadium. That short porch, he's constantly pulling the ball to right field. I mean, could you imagine if they lose Soto? I mean, Yaz could be a decent. He's better than Verdugo, I think.
Way better than Verdugo.
Well, they're gonna open it up for Dominguez probably if Soto leaves.
Yeah,
true.
But I mean, the right type of ballpark for Yaz.
Boston.
Yeah, send them to the American League.
He hits great and he kills the Mariners.
Yeah,
and we know the Mariners GM loves Giants players.
I mean, they could sign him in arbitration and turn around and trade him. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would. There's no reason to keep him on the roster at $10 million. Not when
He's
you
55
like you said,
years old.
like you said, you got
you
the Giants 7 years. Come on, enough is enough. You got
McRae. You've got like you said, Luciano's going to be down there. I mean, I love Yaz's defense, and he's valuable with a good team. With a good team, he's going to be a lot better than he is here.
Yeah, on a good team, he's a good 8-hole hitter.
Right.
Send them to KC, Detroit, Pittsburgh. They're young. They need a veteran there.
If the Giants were a 90-win team, we wouldn't be sitting here pounding the table going, okay, well, go with the young kid because then those couple wins could come back to bite you at the end of the year. They're not, though. Like, it's time.
And Cody, my biggest problem is we either finished second or third dead last with runners in scoring position behind the White Sox and I forgot who else. So regardless of all this pitching, we need guys that can actually make contact. It doesn't matter. Even if they get hit by the ball, that's better than what we've been doing. We just need guys that can actually put the ball in play. So I don't care, even if we have to trade all our starting pitching to get guys. That's sort of our first step. We got to get guys that can actually hit the ball when it counts. One of Dan's people here is Chapman Law. They come through the clutch, unlike Kratman, who couldn't hit in the clutch if his life depended on it. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's the same thing all year. We need to get people that can, like the guy for San Diego that used to be with us. We call them Solano.
Barrels.
Barrels. When we got rid of him for no reason, probably because he hit the ball. He just didn't hit home runs. We need guys that can make contact, and I'm getting a little sick and tired of us. If we're going to do all defense, that's great, but we got to have some guys that can put the ball in play. For some reason, like the one thing I didn't like about Yaz, he probably had 100 fly balls where he tried to hit it out, and it was just not far enough. With his thing, he should be hitting gappers. We don't get players built for our stadium. We don't have gappers. Like, we should have a team like the old St. Louis Cardinals that use their field and their artificial turf. You remember all they would do, like Willie McGee and all those guys, Smith, they would hit the ball on the ground and boom, they'd have a runner on. The Giants never do this. And, the other thing is when we draft our players, that's what we got to think of. Guys that can hit gappers.
That's why I was looking at a guy like Bradfield, because he's that guy. Yeah. He's in fact, we've got did I put that video out already? Yeah, I've actually got in the video. There's a highlight of him hitting the ball up the middle. Second baseman gets it really pretty easily, backhands it, and Bradfield beats it out. You know, that's the kind of guy. The Giants don't have any of that. They got a lot of swing and miss, just swing and miss. And I don't know if it's a philosophy down at the farm level where they're, you know, because I don't know, but they come up to the big club and they start striking out.
I think the Giants could make a lot of these changes all within this offseason, honestly, if they're aggressive enough. I mean, you look at Jung-Hoo Lee coming back, contact hitter. You bring in Kim, contact hitter. Santander, if you can actually pull that off, contact hitter. Somebody I actually brought up to Cody that you could trade for, only making $8 million this year, is Yandy Diaz, first baseman of the Rays. High average, not a ton of strikeouts.
Isn't he a free agent?
No, I believe he has 1 year left on his deal at $8 million, but he consistently hits for a high average. I think
Diaz, right?
I think they had an option on him for $8 million.
See, I'd rather get
Didn't you say
someone
you
like
had
that
2
than
years
pay
because of the
$12
club?
million to Yaz.
Exactly. He's only making $8 million, and he's not gonna require this huge prospect haul.
Yandy Diaz, didn't he win a batting title a couple years ago? Wait, this is the
first base on the Rays. He has a little bit of pop too, more than Lamont Wade at least.
Yandy Diaz, I thought he won the batting title in 23 for the American League. Am I thinking of somebody else?
Yeah, he hit 330. He's a 288 career hitter.
Yeah. So I did think that's funny you mentioned them because I thought of him too, and I thought he doesn't have a lot of pop, but he does get on base.
No, but I mean, he's going to give you better power than what you're getting out of guys like Wade and Flores.
Right.
Not the greatest defense over there, but like Lou was saying, you can't go glove first at every single spot on the diamond. Like at some point, you got to bring in some kind of hitting, and especially guys that can put the bat on the ball. You throw in Matos there off the bench, another contact hitter with a little bit of speed. So you look at that, and that would completely change the lineup. And then you still have, hopefully a full year of Ramos, Chapman, Fitzgerald will mix in there a little bit, and you have a lot more contact hitting. And that could be the difference in a lot of these 1 and 2 run games where they're just putting up 2 or 3 runs each game. Another idea I had too, as far as cutting some costs, is possibly trading off of Taylor Rogers. He's making $12 million and he's on an expiring deal as well. I would trade off of him.
How about
he gave you I'd be fine with getting rid of both of them, but especially Taylor, $12 million, and he had a 2.4 ERA last year, which I think we all know is very fluky, but I guarantee you could get somebody to take on that last $12 million this year. And
Ricky, were you amazed that nobody claimed him off waivers when he went on?
No, I mean, no, because of that contract. But I do think this offseason you could trade off of it and actually find a legit partner. And a guy that the Giants, I guess, are apparently linked to is Tanner Scott, the closer for the Padres last year. If you pay him a long-term deal, you're basically paying the same per year dollar amount as you are Taylor Rogers based on projections right now. So that would completely revamp your bullpen too on the back end.
If you can trade Ross Stripling last offseason and only have to eat $3.5 million of his contract, you can definitely trade Taylor Rogers.
Yeah.
And you may eat 10 or you may eat a couple mil, but you could move it now.
That's the funny conundrum with this offseason is that if we need to strip money off the roster, Farhan is actually good at that. He's good at signing bad contracts and then getting back out, wiggling his way back out of them.
his best quality and skill was getting out of the crappy contracts he signed.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, want to get we're doing kind of a joint channel right now, so you may be watching here on NorCal Sports Network or over on Even Year Dynasty Show. There's a link to Cody's channel in this description of this show. Click on the link and just subscribe to the channel. He's only 40 away from getting to the magic number 1,000.
Yeah.
And that's a big
Appreciate
deal
you guys.
in YouTube, because then you start making some money off your work from YouTube. So all this work, it takes a long time to build up to that. So we know what it's like. We were there, and we're still trying to grow, and help Cody out. Go subscribe to his channel if you would, please. Thank you.
Get paid to piss and moan about the Giants? Heck yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, now he's 38 away. All right, we're getting there. Getting there. All right. So, there's
Appreciate
so
you
much.
guys.
There's so many things. Let's see. What do we got, Aaron? I always like to get to my members' comments. Oops, I hit the wrong one. Chats are coming in fast, and as I went to hit it, it moved. Aaron says, wouldn't surprise me if Yaz stays. Seems like we did that one already. Yeah. Okay. All right. I must have moved the bill there. Okay. All right. This one right here. Okay, there it is. Really, the only position you can afford to sacrifice defense is either left field or first base. Must be solid up the middle. Chapman already at third, and right field at Oracle is tough. Yeah, I mean, I think Ramos would be fine out there in right field. If I do think the best outfield to start the season is going to be Matos, Lee, and Ramos, unless you go out and get a Santander. But they've got to find a good shortstop. It sounds like it's going to be. Is it his throwing arm that is his shoulder, or is it his left shoulder that he had surgery on? Hopefully,
I think it was his right. I think he's throwing, but I'd have to double check that.
Did he have a torn labrum or something, or what was his
Yes.
deal? Okay, so he's got the same injury basically that Ohtani had.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm not too concerned with him versus like a Cody Bellinger when he had the shoulder injury, or some of these other guys, because power's not really part of his game. Like all his power is to the pull side. He's probably never going to be more than he hit 17 last season, but the year, or
I wonder if
in
that's
2023.
I wonder if that's going to affect Ohtani's production coming back from a torn labrum. Knowing Ohtani, he'll work it out, and he'll aggressively do
his offense will probably take a dip because of
his pitching.
Because of his pitching, yeah. It's no surprise the one year he doesn't pitch is the year he goes bananas.
It's funny because in the offseason, my number one prediction for the Dodgers was that Ohtani would hit 55 homers and be the first Dodger to hit over 50 homers. I think Sean Green had the record prior to that. And I was like, this dude's going to hit 55 homers DHing, man. This is like that lineup. I mean, and he started the season off batting second, didn't he? I think weren't they leading off Betts to start the season? And then when Betts got hurt, they moved Ohtani into the leadoff. And they never moved him back. Man, we'll have to get into that. Maybe at the end here we'll discuss the way, I think the Dodgers are repeating personally. I don't see, it's tough to baseball, anything can happen, but I just think they're going to they're probably going to get Odames and Sasaki. They're probably, but the Braves are going to be tougher. They're going to have Acuna back, and the Braves somehow, they're aggressively. If they lose Max Fried, they'll go sign someone to replace him that'll be just as good. So we'll see. But what's your thoughts, guys, on Bryce Eldridge? Some people think he might, if he has a great spring, he makes it the club coming out of spring training. Others think probably more like mid-year before he comes up. Two questions. One, does he make the team out of spring training? And two, what's best for him? More seasoning in AAA, or just putting him in the big leagues? We'll start with let's start with Ricky and go around and go down to Lou and over to Nick. What do you think, Ricky?
I don't see him making the club out of spring. I mean, I think we've seen guys out of spring, do really well, and they still sit him in the minors. Obviously, different regime in here now, but I personally think best case scenario would be just have him come up. Doesn't have to be all the way in September necessarily, but in the second half of the season, because I don't think we're going to have some huge offensive upgrade at first base. So I do think they're going to want to see him at some point this year, but it would be nice to see him get a good amount of time in with some more advanced pitching. Because he did miss a little bit of time last year in the lower minors, and he didn't really get that many at bats at Double-A at all. So I think best case scenario, just let him rake down in Sacramento and then bring him up in the second half.
All right, what do you think, Lou?
Well, I don't think the Cody, Ricky, or Nick saw your stat about the talent in the minors, where we're all talking about him like he's the next Barry Bonds. Two problems he's got. First of all, the first month of the season, the Giants have a gauntlet. I think it's the toughest start to a season in a long time. And I don't want to see Eldridge suffer and go through slumps where in the first 6 weeks, he might be great. He might be slumping. It might hurt his rep the rest of the year. Second of all, we've heard this now for 8 years, all this Giant talent. I'll go last year. Harrison, oh, my God, he's better than Mad Bum. Oh, my God. He couldn't hold anyone's jock. He was a huge disappointment. Give the guy a break. He's young. He's unique. I don't want to see him until like July 4th. There's no reason right now because the Giants are going to be going nowhere with him in the lineup. Let him grow. Give him a little time and then bring him with our team. And then maybe he's the player that we get at the trade deadline that would help. I mean, I think like I say, our first month is brutal. And, I think Eldridge, if he's that good, he's worth waiting for. I'd, wait until like July.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see.
I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, if you guys really have looked at the schedule, but
there it is right there.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
I mean, 6 games to start on the road. Cincinnati's you never know what you're going to get with Cincinnati. Houston's a tough place. Then you come home, Seattle, Cincinnati again. So they're done with Cincinnati after the first week of the season. Wow. That's crazy. You won't see Cincinnati again. I guess that's a good that you don't have to go there. And well, it's a nice place to hit in the summer though, because the ball flies. Then you got the Yankees. Oh, that's a nice road trip. Yankees in Philadelphia. Oh gosh. Woo. And then the Angels finish. It's not the greatest, but there's winnable games in there. But let me get rid of that here. Hold on here. Okay. So Nick, what's your thought?
To wait. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. July. Okay. And same with Ricky about July. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Lou, everything he said about, I would not rush him up. And I do think the fan base overall is, putting him, they're just anointing him. So I think he's going to be very good. But I do think that there might be a little bit too much pressure is going to be put on him that he has to be the savior of the franchise. And I think that Buster's kind of hinted too that he's not going to rush him up, and they're going to keep him down there. So I would be shocked if you see him before the middle to the end of July. I think that they're probably an August call up for him. But
well, you made a good point there, Nick, about how we kind of overvalue it. We get excited for the Giants prospects because we haven't had many.
Oh, of course, yeah.
For how long? I mean, the last great prospect we had was Buster Posey, right? Mm-hmm. From the offensive standpoint, we've had the pitchers, we've had Lincecum and Mad Bum, and before that we had Kane, and we've had pitching come up, but it's been until Ramos produced this year, we hadn't had an all-star outfielder from the Giant system in 40 years. Chili Davis was the last guy in 1984. So pretty bad track record there. So we get excited when we hear or see guys that are, doing well. The one thing I would caution is, baseball, and I bring up the trade values, the surplus value of a player. He's got like a 26 rating, and there's a lot of guys that are younger than him that are not even close to being in the majors yet that are put up higher by baseball standards. I think the Giants, I do think Eldridge is going to be a really good hitter because he has a really nice swing. He doesn't have just a one path swing where he hits the ball, if it's in one spot, like Matt Chapman. Chapman, he basically, if you set up Chapman right, you can get him to chase just about every time if you get ahead of him and you make it look like a strike. The only time Chapman tends to hit well is when he's generally well ahead in the count, like most hitters. But the thing I noticed with Chapman is guys would get him out on hard sliders that would break at the last minute just off the plate. If you threw him a slider or a curve that was way outside, he would usually let it go. And then he'd wait for the pitch that he could hit and he would drive it. But if you get two strikes, and if you throw a slider that just breaks out the zone, Chapman swings every time, almost every time. So that's how but Eldridge can hit the ball to all fields with power. And for a guy his height, he can get the low ball as well. So I think he is going to be a pretty good big league hitter. I just hope they don't rush him. And I don't think Posey will rush him. And I think Farhan would have rushed him. I think if Farhan could have brought him up last year to save his job, he probably would have tried. So I think Posey makes the right decision and just says, you know what? We'll let him get his at-bats. And I think they're going to listen to a lot what Will Clark has to say. They already did. They already sent him home from the fall league, and I missed him this year. I was going to go to a game like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and they sent him home. I was waiting for it to get cooler. It was 100 degrees here up until the first week of October, second week of October. And I'm like, gosh, I don't want to go sit in 100 degrees and watch a baseball game. I want to, it's usually like 75 right now, 80. And that's what it is this last week. And they sent him home. So I think Will Clark will have a lot of say with Buster. And that's the advantage of having a guy like Buster running the club is Buster's going to listen to the former players because he knows what they know. He knows they know what they're talking about.
I don't think he has a choice. I think he has to.
Yeah. What do you think, Cody? I know you're probably the highest on Eldridge's of maybe anybody in this. Yeah, and I'm high on him, but you've watched him more than anybody, I think, maybe in Giants medias.
Yeah. So I'm a little different. I'm very similar to you guys in the sense that I don't want to rush a guy that's not ready. And I don't want to rush a guy if we don't think he's ready. Like, I'm very much in that. I think the betting favorite would easily be that he comes up mid-season, tail end of second half of next season. I think that would be the betting favorite for sure. But I'm also a believer in not holding a guy back just for the sake of holding him back. And as much as I'd love to say, yes, develop him, some guys don't need it. Some guys are just special. And if he shows that he is just a special player, then I'm not going to hold him back just to hold him back. And I'm not saying he is. It's impossible to predict the guy. It's hard to predict who's a special player and who's not. But I see a lot of very special qualities out of him when I watch him. The ability to beat any pitch, soft, hard, inside, outside, up, down. He can pull them, put them out to the opposite field. I really do believe that he can end up being a special player, especially a special hitter. And some guys just show they don't need it. And some guys show they don't need the time in the upper minors even. I mean, you look at a guy like Jackson Merrill, he got 210 at bats or 210 plate appearances in AA, 0 in AAA. He got a non-roster invite to San Diego's spring training, tore it up, and they brought him up. And he very easily could have won Rookie of the Year actually, I think they haven't announced him yet, but he probably would have won Rookie of the Year if Paul Skeens wasn't like one of the greatest rookie pitchers we've seen in a long time.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Merrill Merrill helped me win a championship in fantasy baseball. I love the guy.
And Merrill's only, I think he's going to be like 6 months older than Eldridge will be on opening day next season. Like when you look back at this past season.
Right.
So, the age thing doesn't really bug me. It's going to be a matter of if he's ready, because he's got about 75 plate appearances between AA and AAA, plus 40 something in Foley, which is, we'll call it AA-ish, caliber pitching. And he's not that far behind where Merrill was, is just kind of where I'm getting at with this. So
I see that. Yeah, I can see that.
There's
a
possibility
about his rookie status. Like, how you get that extra pick if a guy becomes, Rookie of the Year or whatever the awards are. I think if you bring
prospect promotion incentive.
Yeah, I think it's like sometime after August if you bring like around the 10th. I think it's like less than 60 games or something like that. If you play,
I think it's worth chasing, honestly, whether it's this season or next season. Like,
well, you either have to bring him up in the beginning and let him play.
Yeah, they have to be on. I think
opening day.
They have to be on your roster a certain amount of days. I don't have it in front of me.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea is to forego the service time manipulation and all that stuff. Right. And they get the pick right after the first round ends if your guy wins the Rookie of the Year. And I think there's other incentives if they get votes for big awards and things like that. I don't know the exact breakdown on that. I know the pick though, if you get it, if they actually win the Rookie of the Year. But yeah, I mean, I think you go into spring training with just kind of an open mind. Maybe you go into spring training with the intention of sending him to, whether you want to go back to AA or AAA or whatever. Like, I think you go into spring training probably with that intention. But if he demonstrates start to finish that he's just, and I think waiting, evaluating it all the way down to the finish line is important, because I know, Dan, you brought it up in the past where a lot of times early in spring, guys are just working on different things. So he might just get a bunch of fastballs and hammer those early in spring. Like, we got to see it all the way down to the finish line in spring training.
Right.
But more importantly than anything, if you're going to do it, it needs to be a commitment. You don't jerk the guy up and down. Don't put him on the taxi squad. We're not doing this crap. Like, if you're going to do it, give him the Freddie Freeman treatment. Freddie Freeman was atrocious the first month of his career. I think a lot of people forget that with Atlanta. And they were like, dude, don't worry about it. You're starting all year. Like, you're not going anywhere. You are going to be our starting first baseman all season. And he figured it out pretty quickly after that, but he did figure it out. And it's like, that's how you have to treat Eldridge. You can't.
Right. It's the famous Leo DeRoche or Willie Mays.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, 100%.
You're our guy. I'm going with you. I don't care if you strike out 40 times in a row. And then they figure it out. So yeah, I agree, and I do agree too. I should say, there are guys that he can go and just become undeniable. And
we don't know.
There is no linear path to the major, where everybody's on the same path, and we all say, oh yeah, wait till July. If he's hitting, there are guys that can just be undeniable, and that's where, like you said, a Will Clark, a Pat Burrell, they'll know. When they see those Posey, they'll know if the guy is just like undeniable, that okay, we just have to put this guy on the roster, and regardless of his age and how much experience he has or whatever, there are guys that are like that. So he might be. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't jerk him around like you said. Do not jerk him around.
And it's just hard to project right now what he is, because like I said, I think the betting favorite is that it's going to be mid second half, something like that next season. It's just, I just don't like holding guys back to hold him back. And like, as Nick just said, if he's undeniable, if those guys get that feeling, then don't hold him back just to get him extra at bats. I don't. Some guys don't need it. It's kind of where I'm at.
Yep.
What surprise guy makes a rise, you think, this year that steps up, that comes either that was not on the roster last year or was on the 40? I'm thinking of guys, for example, whether it's a Bird Song or guys we saw some time last year, McRae, Mason Blacks,
That makes him make the roster.
That makes a move and that becomes a surprise to the team that actually you think has potential to be either an everyday player or a rotation, a solid contributor to the club. You see anybody?
I have one in mind that I think makes the bullpen next season at some point.
Who's that?
I don't know if it'd be a surprise to the organization, but a lot of Giants fans might not know the name, but it's Trent Harris.
Okay.
I think he's going to shoot through AA and AAA and be in the pen by the end of the year.
Okay. He's not on the 40 though right now, is he?
No.
Okay. How about you?
My name though.
You got anybody, Ricky, that you see making a move that becomes, more seasoned this year?
Well, it's funny because Trent Harris is actually going to be the guy I brought up too. I think he's somebody that's going to start. He's probably going to start in Sacramento, and I think we very well may see him come up within the first 2 months of the season. Another guy that honestly could make a pretty nice impact early on in the season too is Trevor McDonald.
Okay.
More in a bullpen role.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Trent Harris. I could see either of those two guys. They're both, big league ready or very close to being big league ready. On the hitting side, there's not a ton there other than Bryce, really, unless McRae comes out of nowhere and starts hitting for a lot more contact.
Same with
Okay.
Bishop. It's like
Does Encarnacion make the club next year, or is he just a flash in the pan?
I think that really depends on the way they attack the offseason. If they don't find somebody to plug a hole at first base, why not? Tons of raw power there, and we saw flashes of it. I say why not? I think Wilmer Flores is cooked. I don't think Lamont Wade can handle a full season. I think we've seen that. Even when he tries to play through things, he just falls off a cliff once he starts playing banged up. So I say why not? Platoon him bare minimum at first is what I would do.
I think he's earned a look at the very least. Yeah. I don't know how you can't give him a look after the tail end. What he does with it, who knows? I don't think he's earned like a guaranteed spot, but certainly deserves a look at least.
You know who's a crazy one that I had heard that they're going to start to or have him try to work at second base. That's kind of a forgotten man, but he has some bat to ball skill as the Wade Meckler. I heard Meckler's going to play. They're going to move him to start playing second base because he's god awful in the outfield. He's one of the worst defensive outfielders ever.
He's got drunk goggles on in the outfield.
Yeah, it's just absolutely atrocious. But I guess he played second base in college. And
he reminded me of Benny Hill. Chasing a foul ball, he reminded me a little bit of Benny Hill, if you ever saw Benny Hill in the
But his body type, everything screams a second baseman to me. And I don't think it's going to happen, but that's kind of a wild card one. That if he could actually play a little second base, his bat has potential to be that contact kind of guy and spray the ball around the field. So that's one just to look out for what he looks like in spring training a little bit. Maybe
he's got nice speed too.
Yeah, he's got some tools.
Yeah. Ricky and I and Dan, that's usually on our show. We were begging them to put Meckler at second base, like before the season even started. That's all we kept saying. We're like, put him at second. Right at the end of the year, they finally are doing it. It's like, why didn't we do this? Like,
why
didn't we do this 6 months ago?
A lot of people got excited over Brett Wisely when he came up and started hitting 300. And I says, he's just a journeyman guy. He's just, he's a utility guy back into the roster. He's okay, but he's not an everyday player. What you guys agree with that? Wisely's just a
kind of 4A, maybe a bench piece.
I'd rather see Casey Schmidt play second base personally, just because of his arm. I think turning a double play. Casey Schmidt's arm is so, solid, powerful, that it's the difference of the bang bang play at first base. We saw so many of them in the World Series where guys' foot just came down, and Schmidt, and the difference is their arms, they didn't have great arms. Usually a lot of second basemen don't have great arms. And but a guy that I like as a surprise, not so much, I don't know if it's a surprise, but I really like Landon Roop. I like this kid's makeup, his stuff. I think this guy could be, one of those. He reminds me a little bit of Walker Buehler, when Buehler was he's got that filthy 12-6 curve that just drops right off the table. He's got a sneaky fastball. If he can get keep his command good and get the confidence, and that they don't jack him around, build him up, let him, I think he compete for a starting spot.
Agreed.
Birdsong's got some good stuff too, but his Roop has better command than Birdsong. And I know they liked Roop a lot in the bullpen as that kind of middle guy at times, but I would like to see him get a shot at starting this year.
Too.
I would think, it's going to be interesting if they lose Snell and don't get if the plan is that they're going to go with Webb and Ray as their two, top of the rotation guys, I'm not going to be happy, because I don't think you have a ace at all then, because I think, Snell is an ace. Webb is a number 2, in my opinion. I don't think he's good. He's really good. But if that pitch that he can't control, that if teams lay off of his thinker, they just wait like the Dodgers seem to do. There's teams that are more disciplined and they get him where he's 2-0. Then he's got to come in. He becomes very hittable. And that's my thing with Webb. I like Webb, but he's not the guy that goes out and just says, okay, we can't give up more than 1 run and we're going to, shut him down. I don't know. I think they need someone that's, whether it's a Burns or a Snell, even a Max Fried. Webb's right up there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not. I just don't think he's like a lockdown ace pitcher.
Webb's you need a guy who can go out there, and every single time he goes out there, you're like, oh, he's gonna put up 10 Ks. And Webb's gonna pitch to contact a little bit, and that's where you have those games with Webb sometimes where where you desperately need a strikeout to get out of an inning, and he's going to be kind of reliant. And sometimes it works great getting the ground ball, but sometimes you just have those games with him where he gives up 6 runs because the ground balls are finding holes. And a guy like Snell is a guy who, he's going to go out there and he's only going to pitch 5 innings maybe, but you need a guy who's going to, like a Lincecum, he's going to put up 10, 12 Ks, and that other team is on their heels the whole time. So you need one guy like that.
Look in the World Series in Game 5, in that 5th inning, how close Cole got to getting out of that inning when his defense kept coughing up extra outs because he struck himself. 2 guys out with. What's that, Lou?
Including himself when he forgot to cover first.
Yeah, including himself. But like before that play, like his defense, Judge dropped one. They spiked one trying to throw the guy out at third. I mean, like, he had to get he was going for his 5th out at that point, but then he forgets to cover. I mean, that's his fault. But like, he got so close to getting out of that inning because he got a couple big time because he can get
because he can strike you out, and that's what Snell can do. And I mean, I really think what happened in that situation is he worked so hard to get out of that inning with those 2 strikeouts. When he got the ground ball, I think he was just like a sigh of relief when he saw it go to. He's like, I got out of it, and he forgot to just run over and cover. And then the ball had that weird spin that was so Rizzo couldn't charge it, because if he would have charged it, he might have muffed it. Then it would have been, or we could even had a Bill Buckner situation where it goes through his legs. But how crazy would that have been? But
to your point, really quick, Dan, because I know you brought up Roop. I do really like him, and I know Ricky's heard this comp before, but I have always felt watching him that he just reminds me a ton of Ryan Vogelsong.
There you go.
Not an overpowering fastball, keeps it down around the knees. It's going to go low mid 90s, and then that big curveball that he can throw for strikes like at any time. It's just kind of the style. It just reminds me of Vogelsong. I mean, you never know kind of internal, competitiveness and things like that. Like Vogelsong was just like an ultimate competitor, but you can't measure that stuff. It's just kind of his stuff and his pitch style reminds me of him.
Yeah. What do you think? Lou's got a good story about Tristan Beck. What's your thought? Who's your guy, Lou?
I don't really think we have much. I think we're a couple years away. I do listen when Cody's on your show, Dan. Every other week he was on, and Cody, it was very informative because, being a Giants fan on the major league, we don't really hear the whole prospect of prospects in single A, double A. It was funny. I told Dan I was back in Augusta, and the Giants used to have, I think it was maybe high A, the Augusta Green Jackets were the Giants, and we had dinner at their facility. But, they're no longer. They're now part of the Braves, bottom out and everything. But, I mean, it's pretty informative because I think with the Giants, we always just hear the big names. We don't hear the names that maybe are a couple of years away that actually learned how to hit, and I think the one thing that, that you really taught me is you got to be patient. There's so many different levels from single A, high A, double A, triple A, because we get guys that can't hit in triple A, but they go to the pros and they can hit, which doesn't really make much sense, but it's all about, it's just how it is. And it's the same with pitching, and I mean, like how you're talking about Eldridge, I want him to be like Roy Hobbs. Shit, Roy Hobbs was only with the Hebrew Oilers for 2 weeks. And look what he did his first year in the pros with the New York Knights. Dan probably doesn't know what we're talking about, Cody. But, I think, with it, it's a lot of patience too. Plus, you got to remember, and again, you bring this up sometimes, it's different when you're playing in front of 8,000, maybe in the altitude and everything, and then you're in a major league ballpark. It's sort of like the movies. Oh, my God, you're in the show. Everything changes. The pressure. You have your parents there. You're actually making money. So I think the one thing with the Giants is, Dan brought up no one since Chili Davis. And, I've been a fan, and I think we were sort of spoiled growing up where, we had Robbie Thompson, Will Clark, all bought up when we beat the Cubs. And, we had guys that went through the system. It was sort of amazing. The other day, Steve Garvey, is going to he's up for the Hall of Fame. And he kept saying all 4 of those guys were homegrown, from Hicks,
Say and Russell and
Russell
and Garvey,
and the Penguin. And, he
but you know what? The Giants had that too, Lou.
About that. And he said, I'm more excited because all of us went through the grind. And, with the Giants now, I don't know if we, going after the high school guys or going after the international guys or going after the, guys that played college. I mean, look at the rookie of the year. He was a stud in college. So you knew he was going to be good. And I don't know. That's the one thing I'm hoping about the Giants is we actually go the right way. Because I think recently we've just sort of have gone the wrong way, and we kept going the wrong way, and it's been a while where, I mean, we keep hearing about all these guys. I mean, my God, Brown, oh my God, this guy's a new superstar. Same thing, I'll bring Harrison up again. And I just hope Eldridge is this guy, because we're sort of due, and if he can be that guy, that helps everything else with the Giants. Because right now, Dan brought up in the middle of the beginning of the conversation, we have so many problems, as I referred to last couple of years as dead wood. I don't want to see the same guys again. They don't excite me. I keep trying to tell people the Dodgers are going to get better. The Padres are pissed off. They're going to get better. Arizona, they had a rough year last year, but they're a better team than us. They're going to do, the big rumor was that Fried might sign with, Arizona. So now they're going to get an ace. And, I'm just sort of sick and tired of us being in the middle and being, safe, sort of like Melvin. I wasn't a big fan of him because he was a safe hire. We don't go crazy. We don't do anything. And then right now, our team was sort of boring last year. The A's were more exciting. And here they were leaving town. So, I just don't think we have anyone that's going to surprise me, Dan. Listening to Cody, I know, Eldridge is sort of like our 1 and 1A. I think everybody else, we just got to be patient again, a couple of years, and, hopefully we can do something.
Yeah.
And makes his move.
and the one thing they've done in recent years, I know this is something that Ricky and I have praised a lot. The last 2 years, I mean, Tibbs, we can say what we want about Tibbs as far as like a first round pick goes. The tools aren't necessarily eye popping with him. I think he could be a really good hitter, but it's not, he doesn't have the other tools to kind of fall back on if he's not. But they have gone out and grabbed some pretty toolsy players with Walker Martin and Dakota Jordan. They have Arias, will probably debut in full season ball next season. Dakota Jordan this year. Jacob Christian's got a really nice hit tool. Johnny Level just had an awesome time in the DSL. He'll probably be in the complex league. The nice thing they have now is more than before, at least. It seemed forever they would draft guys like Panic, who I love Panic, but not the toolsiest guy. Christian Arroyo was kind of the same kind of guy.
Yeah.
They're finally drafting some guys.
Athleticism.
Do have a lot of.
You really love this 2004 draft class.
The 24.
This last one.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked what they did overall.
Okay, good.
But with the picks they had, but
I think their 23 was a pretty good draft class.
I liked 23 better. I mean, and even 22, I understood why they went with a guy like Reggie Crawford. I didn't necessarily agree with the pick, but like I understood the thought process there, considering he had possibly the most electric left-handed arm in that draft class. But it's obviously so far not working out the way they'd hoped. But it does kind of help when you get Wisenhunt and Birdsong behind him and a couple guys that could be good relievers in the rounds following. So maybe that ends up being an okay class, but I do like that they're going with the athleticism and the upside. And some of these guys may never figure it out. A guy like Dakota Jordan, he might just not be able to fix some of his swing decisions, and he might be a guy that strikes out a ton and kind of flames out, or he could hit and you might end up with this guy that's just insane because he's got 80 grade speed and 80 grade raw power. So I love that they're taking big swings on these guys now. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that I just like to see him choose a philosophy and go with it.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to develop guys that, if you want, I think you need a mix. You need 3 or 4 guys that have some pop, but then the rest of the guys need to be contact hitters. You can't have your guys that don't have a ton of power that are strikeout guys. You just can't, because it kills the entire lineup. You've got to have guys that get on base. And I just hope they go out and, whether they trade for those guys or they try and sign some of those guys in free agency, just have a plan, because the way Farhan built this roster and the way the farm system has been built, it just doesn't seem like they've, it seems like they really missed early on in some of the earlier drafts. But let's like you said, going after some more athleticism, guys that have some sizzle. I want to see that because Walker Martin, he's a kid that was one of the top power hitters in high school out of Colorado. I know he struggles a lot to make contact down in the rookie ball and in the Arizona leagues, but if he can figure a way, again, he's young. It's going to take time. A lot of these guys, the thing about baseball that's tougher than we see guys come out of college football or basketball 1 or 2 years and boom, they're making contributions right away. Baseball takes years to develop.
Yeah.
It's like the toughest sport think about it. You're a star if you fail 70% of the time. If you're successful close to 30% of the time, you are a star in the game. So it takes a lot of time. And, Shota says, Baggerly's report saying Giants. We discussed that right at the beginning of the show. So you'll have to go back and watch the beginning of it. By the way, guys, as we do this collab effort here where we're being broadcast on both channels, even your Dynasty show and here on NorCal Sports Network, go help Cody get to 1,000. We're getting closer. I think you're only about 25 away.
We're gonna do a giveaway at 1,000 on the next live, and I already got my dad texting me going, "Do you got your giveaways ready? Because you might be doing this sooner than you thought."
Awesome. Let's get to 24 away. Our producer Ryan says, "Let's get Cody to 1,000." 24 away, guys. If you haven't subbed, it's really just the link is actually in the description of tonight's show. Do Cody a favor. Do all of us a favor. Click on his just subscribe. And I know you got a lot of viewers, and I got a lot of viewers that are watching us on Twitter or X, and they never subscribe because they're over. Come on over to YouTube and click the subscribe button. It would really help both of us out. So we're trying to get to 3,000. I think we are at 2814 we're sitting at right now. So get Cody to 1,000. All right. It would be nice to do it tonight, but if everybody pitched in,
it's a big push.
Yeah. So we're getting everybody to sub. Cody puts out some great content. If you guys want to know, if you're a Giants fan, I'll just tell you, Cody has the best channel out there covering the minor leagues. Him and Ricky and Dan, they do a great job over there. They don't go on as often as we do because they probably have a life. But it's a lot of work, and you check them out over there. They got some great videos Cody puts out, and then they discuss a lot of the guys that, I don't have the time as much as I'd like to watch all the minor league games. Cody does get to more of the minor league games, and he gives reports on them. So we learn about the Giants farm system. That's why I have him on every Wednesday night on NorCal Sports Network during the season, because he gives us an update on what's going on down in the farm. So check out Cody's channel. Go over and sub. Ben Bamboo says already subbed. Okay. All right. Everybody else who's not subbed, get over there and sub. Yeah. So, guys, we've been going for just over 2 hours here on a Friday night. We can kind of wrap up here, but what do you think? What's your prediction? What do you think happens here in free agency? Give us your biggest. Give me where Soto signs. Give me what. Let's see who's the next biggest player out there, pitcher wise. How about Burns? How about Burns? Let's go with Soto, Burns, and Snell. Where do they all sign? And then who do the Giants land? Go ahead. I'll start. Cody, go ahead. Who do you think?
I think Soto goes to the Mets. I think Cohen's gonna whatever the offer is. I just think Cohen's insane. He's just going to drop whatever it is that's needed. I'll go Red Sox for Burns.
Ooh.
I feel like Boston's like at that point, and their fan base is at that point where they can't just keep slashing payroll and being cheap. Like they're reaching that point where I think a lot of the talent is there, ready to be at least competing for that wild card division, whatever. But they need the pitching, so I could see Burns going there. And then, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I could see the Giants going any dozen different directions, and the only one I feel good about is Kim. That, like, as far as like confidence in them signing. So,
okay, where's Snell go?
Yeah,
where do you think Blake Snell signs?
I have this feeling like he goes back to San Diego.
That's funny you say that. I've been thinking the same thing.
Now that they got their financial situation all figured out, so to speak, I could see him going back to San Diego, because I think San Diego feels like they're the one of like 2 or 3 teams that could beat LA in the playoffs. And I think they got so close, and they feel like maybe they were a Blake Snell away, you know, one of those games where they got to Yamamoto in game 1, but Cease gave up the cookies. Like, I feel like they look at a situation like that where they could have won that series easily.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. All right, Ricky, what do you say? Where's Soto sign? And then Burns and Snell, and what do the Giants get?
I think Soto goes back to the Yankees. I've got Burns to the Tigers.
Ooh.
I've got Adames to the Dodgers. I've got Santander to the Giants. Kim, kind of obvious one. I think that's really good shot at happening very soon. Another guy I think the Giants might end up going after too is one of the Japanese pitchers. I don't think they'll land Sasaki because he'll probably go to LA as well. But Shinosuke Ogasawara, somebody me and Cody have talked about. He's a lefty, more of a command guy, and very similar profile to Imanaga of the Cubs, signed last year.
Okay.
And he's somebody the Giants could get as he would be more of like a middle of the rotation guy, in my opinion, like a 3 or 4. But he would only cost you probably 12 to 15 million a year, probably throwing a bunch of options in there like they did with Imanaga in Chicago, to where he could opt out, or they might do a mutual option where the Giants could get out of the contract as well. But he's got a really nice curveball, good command, throws, I believe, 4 pitches. So I think he'd fit really good in this park. And he's only 27 years old as well. So you can keep him around for a while.
Okay. I like that. Where did you mention Snell, where you had Snell going?
Snell, I think back to San Diego as well.
Okay. Back to San Diego. Okay. So Lou, you're up.
We didn't coordinate this either, I promise.
Okay.
Well, I think.
Oh, sure. You guys picked the same guy. Who was the guy you mentioned with the Giants? Harris or something like that? The pitcher?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Come on. You guys had a meeting 5 minutes before you came in. And says,
yeah,
okay.
I can give you another guy after this that actually that came to mind. But
I think Soto's going to be staying in New York. I'm not sure what team.
Come on, Lou. Get off the fence. Get off the fence, Lou.
I do have a long shot. How about, I think he might, and you know what? If New York goes out of nowhere, Philadelphia is going to snag him. The Phillies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they're going to listen to, Seattle's been on listening to you, Dan, and they're going to sign Snell. His wife's from there. He's going to go there. And then with their excess pitching, they're going to make a trade, unlike the Giants, and they're going to get bats because they have great starting pitching. They're going to use their starting pitching with their surplus, and they're going to get bats because they see the NL West. It's definitely a possibility.
That's not a bad idea of trading because they've got.
And then Max Fried is going to go to Arizona to make the Giants even more problems. So now they don't have Snell, and now one of their competitors is in the NL West, which, of course, will be Max Fried. Of course, Adames will wind up with the Dodgers, another disaster for the Giants. And we'll get Kim, and, of course, he'll probably get injured again knowing our staff. So You know, we're gonna
Wait.
be worse.
What?
We have more Paul groins in the major leagues. I don't know why we keep these horrible doctors and physicians, but he'll probably come and get injured again.
Having a glass hamstring is a prerequisite to be a San Francisco Giant. I'm just saying.
It's
Lou,
unbelievable.
what's
I mean, every year we get these. Oh, it's the same thing over. It's like, all right, then get new physicians, new coaches. My God,
Lou, what's your name there? I can't read it. AKA what?
Mr. Negative. I just say the facts. I go to the ball games. I mean, these guys don't probably know what happened, but yeah. So I have front row seats to the Giants. We've had tickets since New York when they moved over. We even had tickets at Seal Stadium. And my seats are where Amy G used to do her broadcasting. So in seat 1, my feet are actually in the dugout. And I sit there and I complain. You know, I pay a lot of money, and the Giants, they come right by me, and the ball players and then the rent-a-cops tell me to shut up. I go, no, these are my seats. I mean, it was great. When Doval gave up 4 runs, if you remember, he was going through he showed no emotion. And coaches tried to tell him, hey, dude, you know, you got to do this. You're your stopper. He didn't care. He probably went to go, you know, smoke some herb, and he didn't care. It was ridiculous. I got right in his face. Fans told me to sit down. I said, no. The cop told me to sit down. I go, listen, rent-a-cop, $18 an hour. You move. These are my seats. Just how it is. And then they wind up saying, you're going to have to leave. And I go, why would I want to watch these bums? And I wind up leaving. And this way I got an Uber early. I didn't have to watch the disaster.
Oh man.
Philip Coppola says you gotta love Mr. Negative. LOL. Yes, Lou's our star, man.
And Dan, these guys don't know what about Tristan Beck, do they? What happened?
No.
I heard your story. If this is
you-
the one where with in the
At
bar
Tommy's?
or whatever, or the
At
Yeah.
Tommy's, the restaurant.
Yeah. So I'll be doing a 2-minute version. Sorry, Nick.
Oh, go
So
ahead.
I was at a place called Tommy's Mexican Restaurant on Gary 24th. And I'm sitting there, and there was 3 people. And this one guy goes, in fact, we made a bet for $300 worth of food and shots. And he goes, oh, Giants, you're going to be good next year. We got Buster Posey. And I go, yeah, that's a great move. Guy's never done it. I don't know why he chose. I guess we're desperate. And he goes, no, the Giants are going to win 90 games next year, 100%. And I go, are you out of your fucking mind? Have another shot, dude. He goes, no, we're going to definitely win 90. And I go, all right, put money where your mouth is. And I had no clue who this guy is. And I go, how about this? We'll bet $1,000 for charity. And he goes, no, let's do something with food. I said, all right, how about $300 worth of shots and food at Tommy's? So he goes, you're on. I go, yeah, dude, like I'm scared. Here. So we shook hands. We got witnesses, took a photo. And then he was with this girl. And he goes, well, are you a Giants fan? I said, yeah, we've had tickets in our family. I have 4 front row. And he goes, well, what's the problem? I go, what's the problem? 4th place again out of 5? It's pretty pathetic, don't you think? I go, and the other thing is you guys, I don't know who's in charge of tickets. I know it's Russ Stanley, but you guys make us pay. And then 3 months later, you guys have tickets 3 rows behind us for $5, $5.01, 2 for 1, all this bullshit. And you guys give nothing to the season ticket holders. And he goes, oh, we gave it 2 years ago. I go, yeah, I got a jersey and I wanted to put Fire Farhan on it, and you guys wouldn't let me do it. And he goes, well, dude, why would you want to wear that? I go, because he's a joke. I go, he was a complete joke. I go, he made our team worse. Isn't that why you guys hired him? So, and then I also said, I don't know who's in charge of merchandise. And it just happened the girl in charge of merchandise was one of the 3 people.
Oh, man.
And she goes, well, what was the problem? I go, you guys give away those Hawaiian shirts, and I get her for newborns because you guys have nothing bigger than a large or extra large. And when you wash them, they shrink. So it's useless. And she goes, oh, God, you must not be happy. I go, no, because you guys can't think of what to give anymore to get people. So then there's another guy. And he goes, well, what do you think of the pitching? I go, the pitching's pathetic. We still have the 2 twins. They're pathetic. They can't get anybody out. You got Doval, whose mind is somewhere else. And then one of the guys goes, well, how about that guy Tristan Beck? And I go, the guy's injured again. He's been injured 3 times in the last 4 years. And I go, the other thing is the guy's so skinny, put some fucking meat on him. So I pay my bill, and the owner comes up to me of Tommy's and goes, hey, you know, that was Tristan Beck. I go, that was? Nice. I go, how the hell am I supposed to know? He goes, dude, they're friends of mine. I go, well, dude, I told him how it is. I go, who's the girl? She goes, oh, she's in charge of merchandise. And I go, good. Hopefully she took notes. And I go, who's the idiot that bet me? And he goes, oh, that's her boyfriend, but he works in the executive offices, I believe, with Farhan. I go, oh, don't worry about it then. I go, because I wouldn't have said it if I knew who they were. And then the owner's like starting to cry. He was laughing so hard. He goes, Lou, only you would say that. I go, well, dude, hopefully they took notes. And I walked away, and then we had to do the show with Dan. He goes, no way. I go, dude, swear to God, this just happened.
That's awesome.
Just wait till he gets a big strikeout late in the game next year. He's gonna look for you front row and be like, "That was for you, asshole."
I give him a high five.
He'll walk right by you.
I like Beck too.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, Beck, he's not bad. He's got potential. Yeah. He's got some good stuff. He, like you said,
every Giant has potential, and they wouldn't be in the big leagues. How about seeing results?
He's just got to stay healthy. He's got to stay.
Sorry,
healthy.
Nick. I know you didn't know the story, so I just wanted to say it when I ran into them. I apologize for taking your turn.
Oh, I love that story. That story.
Okay.
Great.
All right. So Nick, you're up. Who does? Where's Soto sign? Where's Burns sign? And Snell and Giants. Who do they land?
I think that I don't think Cohen's going to be denied for Soto, so I think he goes to the Mets. And then I think as a point to that, I mean, I think it's going to be a war between the New York teams. If the Yankees lose Soto to the Mets, they're not going to not do something big then. Their fan base won't let them. So I could see the Yankees then pivot that they sign either one of Burns or Snell. I know the Yankees wanted Snell.
Ooh, what about if Santander, if Soto signs with the Mets, do the Yankees then pivot to Santander? And
it depends on what they feel like with Dominguez. I feel like if they feel like Dominguez is going to be their guy, they might go with him and then just dump money into the pitching. But they're gonna get some. The Yankees will not, if they lose Soto to the Mets, the Yankees aren't going to not do something big, because that's just not like their fan base will lose their minds.
Do they go crazy and then say, okay, overpay for Alonso to get back at the Mets?
They could. I could see them doing something like that. Yeah, and they could use a first baseman.
Right.
Is Rizzo a free agent this year?
Let me look here.
I feel like I saw him on the list, but
I'm gonna pull the list right here. First base, Rizzo. Yes, he's a free agent.
So that seems like an obvious that they would maybe try to then pivot to that. So, I mean, I could see that being a real war between the New York teams this year, and both of them are going to end up spending some coin.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's that to keep the eye on, and then I mean, a team like the Padres, I don't know where the Padres financials are at right now. I know that they had cut payroll last year. But them being so close to knocking off the Dodgers, and the Dodgers even saying that was the toughest challenge for them, was to get over the Padres, and then it was kind of smooth sailing for them the rest of the way. So I feel like the Padres are probably, if they have some money to spend, they're going to be up there, too. So I see too many other teams that are closer to winning that are going to be motivated to spend, that a lot of those, those top, it's going to be. And there's just not that many good players out there on the market. So yeah, I could see the Yankees walking away with one of the top guys. The Padres or the Mets definitely will. I could see the Padres getting a good pitcher probably. I'm trying to think who else we
got Burns and Snell. You have Snell going to the Padres?
Oh, I forgot to say Burns.
I could see either one going. I could see either one going to the Yankees or the Padres.
Okay.
Depending on if, like I said, a lot of hinges on where Soto goes. If Soto goes to the Mets, which I think he will, I think the Yankees would maybe spend. Like I said, the Yankees. The rumors were that the Yankees were close to getting Snell, and then his agent or the Boris kind of messed it up with the Yankees or whatever, trying to play hardball with them, and So it shows you that they were interested in getting Snell. So maybe they revisit that. I don't know.
Where do you think the Giants land?
I mean, I think Kim is the obvious, and then I keep going back to. I just feel like it's going to be like Goldschmidt. I feel like they're going to do the Goldschmidt, the veteran guy, to maybe squeeze a little bit out of him while Eldridge is coming up. I don't see them doing anything. I don't see them getting a Santander for the outfield or any, because I feel like it's going to be too competitive to get those guys.
Right.
And I think that they're going to give Matos and Luciano a shot to play in that outfield. I don't think they're over Luciano's bat potential yet. So that's why I do think that he's going to get a shot to get playing time in left field. Yeah, so then I can see the Giants, like I said, like a Shane Bieber for the Giants. Some of those lesser.
Right. Bieber. Yeah.
I
could
could
see
I was
that.
super high on Bieber, but I don't like that he's on basically the Robbie Ray timeline with his Tommy John.
Yeah.
So he's useless until after the All-Star break. So it's like
Stuff like that. And I can see the Giants throwing some money at Walker Buehler.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind that.
So,
Bueller, does he have a qualifying offer? Let me look.
Bueller? I don't think so.
No, they didn't give him one.
Nope, he didn't get one. He's only 30, but he's got 2 TJs.
I'd take him on a prove it deal.
Yeah.
no.
All right, so here's my Lou. You said you forgot Burns. Where's Burns?
Blue Jays.
Interesting. Okay. All right, so this is going to be
last hurrah for them. Sorry,
Soto. This is tough. I want to say Mets, but something tells me he loves that right field porch, and that the Yankees come close to matching. They match it, then the Mets bump it up, and he takes a little less to stay in with the Yankees and team up with Judge. What is that? Was that a buzz or something there? I think he ends up back with the Yankees. And my surprise for Soto is if the Dodgers get involved. And hear me out on the Dodgers thing. Freeman's what, 35? He's got a couple years left in him. Muncy's on his last year of his contract, another power left-handed guy. Ohtani's already 30. The Dodgers want to dominate the sport. There's no salary cap. It could come, and the Dodgers may want to get ahead of it. And I could see them saying, look, we could put you here with 4 Hall of Famers. 4 surefire Hall of Famers, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, and you. And we could build a powerhouse, and you can become a star in LA. You can have the limelight, all the LA night, whatever that's out there, that he can connect with. And I could see the LA coming up with some creative deal where they pay him like $500 million. Like 35 a year for 14 years, and then they defer like 250, and they give him like 750. I could see something crazy like that. And if he just says, you know what, I want to win, and the Dodgers are looking at this like, okay, we're going to lose Freeman in a couple years. Who are we going to replace Freeman with? We're going to lose Muncy after next year. Where's our left-handed bats coming from? We're just going to have Ohtani. Let's team up and get Soto. I can see that happening, and I think they get Sasaki. I think Burns, Detroit. I love that creativity. Thinking Detroit. I'm going to say Burns. Wow. Burns. Where is he going to go? I think Baltimore's going to do all they can to keep him. I'm going to say Baltimore retains him. They've got money. They got a low salary base. I think Burns stays in Baltimore. All right. Now, Snell, I like that Seattle idea that Lou came up with, but I'm going to say he goes, he could end up with the Dodgers are going to get Fried, I think. Fried wants to play. He grew up a Dodger fan. He grew up in Southern California. He's friends with, I think it's Glasnow. Did they go to school together? Was it Fried and Glasnow or Fried and
Mandy.
Flaherty? I can't remember. But I could see Fried going to L.A. with Sasaki. The Dodgers want to load up on pitching. I think Snell goes to the Padres as well. And the Giants, I think they get Ha-Seong Kim. I think they end up with 3 pitchers, starting pitchers, and I think Kikuchi is the guy they go after. Doesn't have a qualifying offer. He's a lefty. They're going to want to have lefties face the Dodger lineup. And then I could see the Giants landing a Nathan Eovaldi on a 2-year deal and maybe bringing back someone like Alex Cobb. And I wouldn't be surprised if they got a Matthew Boyd too. I think the Giants go heavy in the pitching and they don't get anybody except Kim. And I could see him going for Goldschmidt as well for a 1-year prove-it deal. That's what I could see them doing, adding 3 or 4 pitchers to and staying under that tax that they've talked about. And I think, I don't know if they give if they tender Yaz or let him walk. If I'm Buster and Maniason, I've got a deal lined up for Yaz already in these GM meetings, and I sign him and I trade him. I tender him, get him signed, and then trade him for somebody. But I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be wild because LA's they're paying through the nose on the luxury tax. They're already over. So what is it? They're paying double of what their salary is roughly.
No, but it's not like the NBA. With the NBA, it's ridiculous. You pay I think 2.5 times over.
I think it is.
Not as bad.
There's a percentage. If you're over 300 million or something like that, it's like
they got a $7 billion TV contract. Not like
that's what I mean.
That's what I mean. Here that makes nothing. $7 billion.
That's why I say I don't think they're going to stop. I think they're going to get ahead of. They're gonna while they have this certain deal with the players
merchandise and World Series merchandise, they just made another 100 million. So what the hell?
Yeah. And you know what you can do with this this deferral is an amazing idea, especially if you sign them to a 14-year deal and you put in an annuity. You put 200 million into an annuity and let it grow. It'll grow to 550, 600 million in 14 years, and you only have to pay him 250. So now you just made yourself 350 million. So if you paid him 750 minus the 350 you made, you really only paid him 400 million. You see how it works? It's just great.
His agent though, Boris is not a guy who I think will go for deferral and all that stuff. And Soto, it just seems like Boris is always more of a, and Soto seems like too, he's going for, if Cohen offers him 800 million, 700 million,
look at that highest.
He's not going to do the deferral thing like Ohtani did. I don't see Boris recommending that for him, and I see a little bit of ego in there too.
Interesting. Yeah. I
agree.
It's going to be tough to beat Cohen because, like Cody said, he's just crazy enough to, if the bidding gets going, and somehow the Giants are going to get played in this. Soto's. They're going to make an offer. The Giants, here's what the Giants should do in the Soto deal. If you really, really want Soto, and the Giants can afford Soto because they're printing money. They got so much money with Mission Rock. In 10 years, the Giants are going to be richer than any team in baseball. You could go ahead and what I would do is just, okay, here's the deal. 14 mil or 14 years, 750. And here's our deadline. Our deadline's a date during the winter meetings. And, or actually I would make it the day before the winter meetings. Just like, here, we don't want to get played like we did with Judge. Here's our deadline. If you don't want it, that's fine. We're going to move on because you can't get, but you don't want to, you got to go so high enough just to make sure that's if you really want Soto. I don't know if, you get Soto, but if you get Soto, you're going to have to spend more money because he's not coming to a team like the Giants if they're not willing to spend. As he said, he wants to interview the teams and find out what's your plan. He's doing the same thing Ohtani. He learned from Ohtani. Like, what's the plan? That's why I say the Dodgers have a shot at this because if he sits down with the Dodger brass and here's their plan, that's scary because people love to play in LA. And, the Dodger brass doesn't care about the money because they know they're making money, like Lou said, with their TV contract. And all it does is just make them more money. And, that's why I say the Dodgers are a very strong possibility that he could land there. Because when's the last time they weren't in the playoffs? 2012. That's the last time they weren't in the playoffs. Remember, Soto played in the 19 World Series, won the World Series with the Nationals. 2020, Nationals didn't make the playoffs, right? Or maybe they did in that crazy year or whatever. They didn't go anywhere. 21, what year did he get traded to San Diego?
It's 21, wasn't it?
I thought it was 22.
It would have been the year after, yeah.
So 21, the Nationals, he didn't go anywhere. 22, he gets traded to the Padres mid-season, plays there year and a half, 22 and 23, then gets traded past off season to the Yankees. So he had one playoff appearance his first year with the Padres. The next year they didn't make the playoffs. Gets to the Yankees, gets to the World Series. Telling you, he goes back to the Yankees. The Yankees are not that good of a team without Soto. They're really not. And the Mets, I don't know about the Mets. They're kind of the one constant is the Dodgers are going to be in the playoffs. And that's what scares me to think if he's thinking he wants to win and he wants to win annually because he knows the Dodgers will spend, that will create don't you think if he signs with the Dodgers for some freakish amount of money, it creates either some kind of strike coming up or some kind of cap? They're going to have to put a cap on, right? I mean, you can't just let one team dominate the entire sport.
Yeah.
And I think Adames does go to the Dodgers too.
Because they need a shortstop.
Look, they can just reload. They can get rid of a couple guys. They can just move off so many guys. Muncy's gone. Muncy's last year is next year. I don't know how much. I have to look what the Dodgers' salary is. Bueller's gone.
Free agent.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious just to look at these salaries for the Dodgers. I'm going to pull it up right now.
I think if the Giants are going to offer anything to Soto, go $100 million over whatever the Dodgers are offering him, and force him to either take that or just continue to up the Dodgers' money and force their hand. And hopefully they get to the point where they say, this is the bar. We're not going above this, and just let them get themselves stuck in all these super big contracts and just hope like hell eventually they get to their breaking point where they can't do anything else.
Right.
It's going to happen with New York and New York. They're going to be going at each other. Get the Dodgers involved. I just don't want the Giants to be, because, we don't really know if they match Ohtani. I don't think Farhan and the Giants brass were that smart to defer money. They never ever talked about it. They never said, "Oh, we're going to sign you for $2 million and backload it." I think that's a bunch of bullshit.
I think what they said was that Ohtani is the one who structured the deal, and he offered it to, he's the one that brought it to the table to everybody.
Yeah,
correct.
I mean, come on, this is Farhan.
Yeah,
the guy for Judge. I don't even think we finished second. They said San Diego at the last minute, so we finished 4th out of 4 teams. We made bids, but we finished 4th out of 4 teams. I mean, come on.
They're playing with monopoly money.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this. And I do think they trade Lux because they're moving Betts back to second base.
Yeah.
So where's Lux go?
Yeah, I think the main thing they got to do with Soto is, I mean, yeah, you're gonna go out and you're still gonna chase him, but just go about your off season. Don't let it hold up what you're doing. Don't let these guys all jump to other teams while you're sitting around waiting for him to make up his mind like they've done in past off seasons. Like, go out, go get a Kim, go follow that and double up and get a Damas and make that your middle infield if that's what you want. Go be aggressive on these guys. And then number one, it like makes the team more attractive to a guy like Soto, but just be willing to understand that you're going to blow out the budget for a year if Soto decides to come, and just be willing to do that. Don't be like, okay, well, this is our budgeted amount. Like, if he comes, he's a box office player. You'll make all your money back and some. Like, it doesn't matter if you go way over the tax for a season.
Right. I agree. Well, guys, we've covered a lot. And we've had how many subs did you start with, Cody, tonight?
Dude, I was at like 949. We're at 994.
You're no kidding.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man. Come on, everybody. 6 more.
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but yeah.
6 more.
Good
Go
Lord.
sub to Cody. Push him over 1,000 in the next 5 minutes. Come on. Come on. This is.
Hey, Ricky, are we announcing the giveaway tonight, apparently?
We can start to flirt with that a little bit.
6 more, guys. Loose sub. Nick, you subbed?
I will. I'm on my phone right now for this.
I did for him.
Once I get
on
off
my
there.
computer.
All right.
Appreciate you guys. Hey, Aaron's asking which one of these bats behind me. The problem is they all have my name on them. So
hold on. I'll be right back. I gotta take a little
Unless
break.
any of you guys are named Cody.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 1 minute or two. I gotta hold on. I'll be right back.
Yeah. But I've
carry on.
actually looked into I'm trying, because I got all of these bats at the ballparks. I used to go with my dad on my birthday, and that was my present. We get a different bat. And I've thought about trying to look into some places that do custom bats and do that as a giveaway at some point. Like, be like, here's a gift card for a custom bat. Go get something, But yeah.
And the Giants dugout store, whenever there's a bat that's cracked, they then sell them the next day. Sorry.
Yeah. I was bummed. It was funny because one year they had the pink breast cancer, the Mother's Day ones. And we had already gotten the other one, and I was like, next year I'm going to do that. And they discontinued them. They stopped doing it. I was like, of course, man.
Yeah.
So
Mother's Day.
Yeah, those were cool ones. Oh man.
So now, are you guys all in the Bay Area, or where you guys do your podcast from and everything else?
So I'm actually up near Seattle.
Oh, you're up near Seattle. Okay.
Yeah. I lived down in the Bay Area for, 20 years. Left, went back for like 3 more years. And I've been up here. What do they think
of the election up there? Because I keep seeing weird stuff going on up there.
Well, I mean, so I'm almost an hour from Seattle.
Oh, okay.
So it is. Yeah. You have like when they had the whole, they shut down like Capitol Hill in like a 6-block space years ago. Like everyone's like, are you okay? And I'm like, dude, I'm in the trees, man. Like there ain't nothing going on over here. But yeah, it's not too crazy where I'm at.
All right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm from the Bay Area. I still live here, and Dan does too. The other guy on Cody's show as well.
Yeah, I grew up in the Bay Area, but I live up in Folsom now.
Sacramento. All right, beautiful.
Yeah,
My
my wife's
Folsom,
from
Old Folsom.
Old Folsom.
Old Folsom.
Mhm.
So you're excited with the A's going up there? It should be pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I mean it'll be cool.
It's
It'll
a
be
nice
cool.
field. I mean, they've done great things up there. You know, as soon as they got rid of Arco, you know, they got a beautiful place for like the Beam, the Kings. You know,
a ton
and it's
of
really
people
well
moved up here.
organized.
Yeah, a lot of
So-
Bay Area people moved up here, and it's consistently growing, and then the downtown scene there is fun, and it'll be crazy congested, but
Yeah,
but
big 4th of July weekend when the Giants invading.
sure, right? Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun having them.
Yeah.
It'll be cool. It almost feels like a novelty, but like the fact like the Yankees will be in visiting Sacramento.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool little thing. So
So are the
the
Yankees being the American League? They play each way, not like the Giants, where the Giants only
Right.
get them back. I forget about that. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Were you guys talking about Sacramento, going to the A's game?
Yeah, just find out where these guys are, where
Yeah.
they live,
Yeah, Cody's
why
up,
they suffer like me being a Giants fan.
Cody, you're up in Washington, right?
Yeah,
That's
my
it.
wife's from she's from Roseville. Her grandparents
Ooh.
used to live in Folsom, so yeah, I
Nice.
know that area pretty well.
Yeah, I try and stay out of Folsom, at least the prison.
Not successfully, but you try.
No, that's yeah. So where are you at, Ricky? Are you in the Bay Area, or are you up in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in the North Bay.
Oh, okay. North Bay. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
So, and then Lou's right there in the city. So we didn't hear the fire department tonight, Lou.
Yeah, we've had problems the last 2 days since the election. Most people are still upset at themselves looking in the mirror. So I went to Pete's and it was like people talking to themselves. And now we got a great governor's upset, trying to make sure everyone that shouldn't be here are going to be okay. And he's upset himself because our big proposition that he spent about $20 million to go against. Now, if you actually steal, it is a crime, and he's freaking out because now the prisons are going to be full. It's just welcome to the Bay Area, I guess. Nothing you can do.
5 away. Ryan says we're not leaving. I don't know. Cody might want to keep.
If I want to stay married, I might be leaving here soon.
My girl's gonna kill me if I don't get off here soon. So
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, well, if you got to run, Nick, we'll let you go. We're gonna close it out. But
Okay.
Make
man,
sure
thanks
we're
for-
sponsors.
yeah, thanks for joining, Nick. Really
oh
appreciate
yeah, thanks
it.
for having me. No,
Yeah,
it was
thank
great.
you.
Yeah, it was great. Good stuff.
We'll
Love
have
to do it
you
again.
back on again.
Yeah,
for sure.
Great.
All right. Have a great one.
You too.
All right. Take
Have a good
care.
one.
Bye guys. Yep.
Before you leave, Nick, guys, go follow Nick on Twitter if you don't have a Twitter account. It's at
SF Giants Nick. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter.
SF Giants.
My posts are for the most part funny stuff, poking fun, a lot of gifs, and then I'll get into serious conversation. But for the most part, it's just more funny stuff on there.
There we go. All right.
So.
Well, thanks, Nick,
Yep.
and go
Nice meeting you.
Yep.
go follow him on Twitter. Everybody, you'll enjoy it. All right. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Yep.
All
Bye.
right. Take care. All right. All right. There we go. Now we're down to the Fab.
Four Musketeers.
What they call it, Michigan. The Wolverines was that that was the Fab Five. We did have the Fab Five. Yeah. We just lost one of our members of the Fab Five. So well, I'm subbed to you guys and Ben, so I only have one account, so I can't.
You're good. We don't need to ride this one out, Dan. I'm sure it'll be tomorrow or the next day or something. I'm not
yeah.
sweating it.
All right.
This
Well,
is going to happen about 2 weeks earlier than I thought. So
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
So Sasaki is getting posted for sure then? What you're saying?
That's what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Okay. Sasaki's getting posted. Go check out my video that I put out on Sasaki. I think he's going to be a Dodger without a doubt. What else do we got?
Grant in the chat said there's some rumors that he wants to be on a small market team. And I said, well, the Giants act like a small market team. So does that count?
Oh, really? Grant said that?
Bring back Farhan now.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's not you. It's us.
Is Ryan a Giovanni account? Yeah, maybe that is.
Yeah.
Maybe Ryan is make a troll account, whatever it takes. Listen to our. Come on, listen to our. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I could let a secret out about this guy. I know he has another account. The guy
he has about 8 of them.
Yeah. Just the guy that says I look old. Just know where that's coming from.
I saw that.
They were saying
earlier.
you were hiding your face behind the secure money thing. To hide how old you are.
Yeah, let me move myself around here. Yeah, there we go. Hey, I am old. Yeah, I am old. Yeah. All right, let me get out of here.
Dan looks younger than Soto.
Yeah, Soto's really. Hey, we do have a couple sponsors. We see Chapman Law Group going there at the bottom. We also have, do I have it up here? No, we got Yogurt Shack, right, Lou? Yogurt Shack. Time for some yogurt. Anybody looking for some yogurt, make sure you hit the Yogurt Shack over in Danville and in Lafayette. Great place to visit. They will, load up your yogurt, whatever you want. Put your toppings on and pay by the ounce. Right there in Danville and Lafayette. We've actually got some coupons somewhere here. Here they are. If you become a member for $4.99 a month, Yogurt Shack has authorized us to give you 2 coupons of $5 each. So that's $10 you get back for just becoming a member for $5. And we don't even care. If you don't like the membership, you can actually cancel it and you'd actually make
$5.
$5. There you go. Yeah. So there we go. Make us earn your membership. We do thank our members that help support the channel. And guys, it's been fun. We've had a lot of fun. We've covered a lot tonight in 2 hours and 52 minutes. And I think we may have to do this again in maybe after the winter meetings. Maybe we should look in December.
Yeah, right around then would be probably a good one.
Yeah, I think we should do it somewhere, right around the second week of December, right after the winter meetings. We'll come together on a Friday night. We'll do this again, and maybe we'll have a lot more to talk about. We'll see where some of the teams have actually signed, some of the guys, and see if any of our predictions come true. I will donate some coupons to Ricky if Burns signs with the Tigers.
All right.
That might be the pull of the year if he gets that one.
If you hit that one, that will be, I will say you have insider information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe. They got money to spend.
Yeah, you know what?
His brother,
it's not a bad idea,
They were
because
close.
they were close. They had Scooble. They needed one more. And it could, that's, Scott Harris, Detroit's right there.
Yeah.
Man, who would have thought the American League Central would be one of the best divisions in baseball last year? But let's play up the band here. Get that going. Guys, Even Year Dynasty Show. Go sub to it. He's only about 4 away from hitting the magic 1,000. Also, subscribe here, NorCal Sports Network. Hit the sub button. Hit the like button. Hey, also make some comments in tonight's video. Some of our thoughts. We came up with a lot of different thoughts tonight on where certain players will land. Tell us what you think. Are we nuts? Are we crazy? Or are we on to something?
All the
So-
above.
Yeah.
And maybe all the above. NorCal Sports Network. We'll be back with something tomorrow night. I don't know, Lou. But we'll come up with something, right? What do we got
Yeah,
tomorrow
there's
night,
college
Lou?
football, or we can wait till Sunday. We got a big Niner game and see if the Warriors can bounce back after what happened tonight.
Yeah, OKC. Yeah, we'll be back. We missed the Warriors tonight, but too much going on. So we'll be back. And check our channel out. Keep the notification, hit the notification bells on both channels. When videos come out, when Cody puts a video out, I get alerted and I look at it and I watch it right away. And if I have the time, I usually watch it right away. We do the same thing. Ryan says we got videos coming out tomorrow. We did a couple videos in the last couple days. I can't remember. I got one coming out on Stephen A. Smith. Told him he was nuts for telling Jason Tatum to put up a 50 on, like he was going to get back at Steve Kerr. So I took a little shot at Stephen A. We've got some others coming out. But anyway, thanks again, everybody. We will see you guys later. When's your next live, Cody? Next Friday night?
Say that again. Sorry.
When's your next live? Next Friday night?
Yeah, probably next Friday.
All right.
That's usually what
Check
we
it
aim
out.
for.
Be checking it out. All right. Awesome. We'll see you guys later. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. It's a 3-day weekend for most people, I think. So enjoy it. And we'll catch you later at the next show. Thanks for watching, everybody.